The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 3rd, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 888. And today, Insanity of Hyperreality. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
And it's the birthday of the NSA. Happy 73rd birthday to the NSA. Happy birthday, NSA.
73. Wow, that's impressive. They didn't even have like mass electronic surveillance back when they started. How did they do their jobs?
Yeah, I don't know.
How did they do it? Daddy's home, Gonz. That's right. I've made it, and now everybody look busy because we're back to the show. Thank you, Gonz, for holding it down for the past couple weeks. Appreciate it. Heard nothing but wonderful things, and got a snippet or two of the Burning Man episode, which was very well done as well. So good job, Gonzo.
All right.
I saw some there's mostly had some very positive encouragement about getting back to the show. There's a little bit of irritation. You know, some people were a little bit rubbed the wrong way that I wasn't back last week, which I'm taking as a compliment. I'm choosing to take that as a compliment. But it was I realized this, Gonz, in the 12, 13, 14 years that we've been doing this show, and I traditionally, go out of town or travel the multiverse probably a couple times a year. This is the first time that I not once was able to call in and still do the show, which was interesting. It does feel like an eternity. And so excuse me, folks, I'm going to be getting sort of back into the groove here. But I think there was some benefits. I think there was some serious benefits, Gonz. It was almost like I was living in an alternate reality where I could watch the world go by, and I was not sort of required to analyze everything on the level of creating some sort of opinion about it with the obligation to soon talk about it. It's a very interesting experience, and I recommend it for anybody. And I think it may have revealed, I have faith. I have faith that it was God's will to go this way. And I think there's some very interesting perspectives that we can kind of hop around with here over the next couple episodes. But overall, I'm glad to be back. Yeehaw.
Yeah, that's good. You were able to unplug from the Matrix and then unplug from the non-Matrix too, and you just really stepped out of the entire firmament there for a moment. And
it was odd, but yeah, I think it was beneficial. I'm glad to be back, and I will say this one. I'll probably talk much more in depth and more rambly about it on Thursday when I get back to doing Canary Cry Clubhouse. So everybody should plan on tuning in to Canary Cry Clubhouse on Thursday, where I will just get as deep and crazy about it as possible. So I might actually just leave it there because I kind of forgot what I was about to say. I'm going to save it for Thursday. That's the sign. Oh, there was a weird feeling. Kind of towards the end, or the last week or so, where the topic of like meaning and purpose started reoccurring, just both in like my prayer time or my quiet time or just my thoughts, or even in like different podcasts I was listening to or different things I was doing. And I was like, it's really weird. For the first time in over a decade, to like not have been engaging with what I kind of am under the impression is what gives my life meaning or purpose, which is being able to do this show, interact with sort of the ideas, do this sort of thinking and present it to people, and but even more so interact with the Canarium, that kind of stuff. So I was starting to feel a little weird there by the end, but hopefully meaning and purpose can regain its meaning and purpose as I reconnect with all the crazy things going on in the world.
I don't think it's possible. We are living in a hyper reality. It is no longer possible to actually have feet firmly planted in some form of objective reality.
See, that's
That
the
is
most
not how the world works anymore, Basil. Come on.
If nothing came out of this trip relevant to the show at all, except for one thing, which is me bringing the term hyperreality to Gons before the show, which has totally changed his entire perspective on
my reality has been completely shaken now
That's
that
right.
I am aware of the hyperreality.
So we'll get trippy about it for a second, but an interesting thing. Well, let's see here. Is there any housekeeping we have to do at the top, or should we just?
I mean, episode 888. That's
it's
somewhat of
loosey-goosey,
a.
baby. It's 888.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
sure,
then we can
loosey-goosey.
celebrate. That's wonderful. It's episode 888. Woo!
I didn't realize it before when I was reading this, but yeah, Abraham's stock. Oh, this is the wrong clip. Yeah, those guys over there, you know. This is the wrong clip. No, Jonathan F. was ISOing something where I was reading off of somebody posting about the Zionist thing, and he had written, Abraham's stock, as if there's some kind of
I saw the file he sent it in, but was that what you were trying?
No, I was trying to play the 888 thing.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Jonathan F. created a wonderful robot rap song for episode 888. We'll play a little bit of it right now. Thank you, Jonathan F. We'll play the whole thing at the end of the show at the Canary Crime mixtape. But what is a triple repeating digit episode of Canary Crime News Talk without somebody coming in with a very special tune?
Nice long intro.
That's not
the wrong one.
Yeah,
I'm playing the wrong file
is
again.
Little Owen.
I'm playing Little Owen's new track.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you do it while I
don't have labels. The way I have it set up right now, I don't have labels. I just blindly pick the clips.
No, that much is clear.
This is the one we were looking for.
To the alien Atlas skies. Flippy splippin' burgers while the robots normalize. Commie super soldiers marching through the feed. But Basil and Gonzo break it down with that Canary creed. Nephilim in headlines, deep fakes in disguise. Mainstream madness, we see through the lies. It's 888, the great decode. From Giza Gaza Trump to the meltdown mode. Raise your mics and take your notes. Truth in the airwaves the mainstream won't quote. We cry out, we won't be phased. Canary cry forever praised. Episode 888.
Booyah. Episode 888. Okay, we'll play the whole thing at the end of the show. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. You know, in a world of, the AI art, the AI music thing, totally destroyed the show. Like the talent
portion
portion of the show. And I am giving compliments to all of our talented producers, because what happened is that once AI art and music became so easy and to a sufficient quality, you'd think we would get like tons of AI art and stuff that come in. We really don't. But what it did do was make the artists who, who spend real time, don't use AI to create things, just sort of, got really sad and stopped creating things. So kudos to Jonathan F. for could have very easily just popped this into AI. I don't think he did. I think this was a creation of his own talent, while also using a pretty classic robot voice for some lyrics that, Who knows? He may have had a little bit of AI help on the lyrics, but I don't know. I'm not convinced of that, because nowhere in the lyrics, which he did send, does it say it's not this, it's that. So convinced it was written by a human. Thank you, Jonathan F. We'll play the rest of that at the end of the show. Let's see here. This is yes, episode 888. You know what? I got Seeker 1776. I'm going to assume, Gons, that you did not put a whole lot of energy into pitching episode 888 while I was gone on a regular basis.
I did, in the context of, hey, Basil will be back by 888, and then I had to do 887.5. So
you didn't have to. You got to do 887.5.
I got to do. Sure.
Seeker 1776 in the chat says, how do I become an 888 super knight, or whatever y'all were talking about? So Seeker 1776 has good memory, remembers us talking about the classic ongoing triple-digit repetition episode number knighthood deal, which has been going on since episode 333, which means, usually you'd become a knight and a dame. You support the show for $1,000 or more. This could be all at once or over a long time. But on these triple-digit episodes, if you come in and support the show for the triple-digit number, then you get an insta knighthood or insta damehood. Now, that was quite the deal back on episode 333. This is an excellent sale. Now, 888, still a deal, still saving $112. But yeah, not quite as
enticing as
the other ones. So,
that's okay.
Nobody did, at least to my knowledge. I did spend extra time today going through the producers for the past couple of weeks. No one, to my knowledge, took advantage of the 888 Knighthood special, but there's still time. If you come in before the end of this show, you can get it. So there you go. Go to canarycry.support to do that.
Yes, sir.
Now, episode 888, very special number, cool number, big number, lining up perfectly by Providence, Gone. See, if you would have done episode 888 without me and not episode 887.5, then it wouldn't have lined up perfectly with the 33rd day of the government shutdown.
Oh.
See? And of course, as we know, when it comes to the number 33, it's a messaging number. We don't claim to know the exact meaning of every 33, but we do know, after many, many years and decades of research and paying attention, that when you see 33 come up, especially in mainstream media, mass media, anything like this, something is being communicated. Do you have a jingle for us as we move on to this very interesting?
Are you talking about well, I was looking for an article about it, but yeah, sure.
No, don't worry about that. Do the long one. You got to do the long one. That'll give us a lot of time to find whatever article you're trying to find.
Where is the long one? Here, is this the long one? That's not the long one, is it?
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
There it is.
No, but there's one that's like 30 seconds of that. It lists lots.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War. The first Temple of Solomon stood for 33 years. David ruled for 33 years in Jerusalem. The Masonic Order divided into 33 symbolic degrees. There are 33 segments in the human spinal column. Jesus was crucified in the 33rd year of his life.
Now, Basil, I'm seeing headlines that say day 34 today, so I don't know if
so
this today the 4th day, which makes it the 33rd day.
This was the news, okay?
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it in here for you because I know you want an article to put up on the screen. There you go. I just linked it. This is on the 33rd day of the government shutdown. We're keeping an eye out when we see the number 33. You gotta pay attention because this is when the real communication comes. This comes from ABC News. You can see it on all sorts of other news outlets because everybody loved the story. Trump hosted Great Gatsby Halloween party before SNAP funding lapsed. Dun, dun, dun. So we've got several different stories all coming together into this one event here. President Donald Trump has come under fire. Under fire. He's been under fire for so long. It's impressive. Under fire that he hosted a Great Gatsby-themed Halloween party just hours before millions of Americans lost their Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, SNAP benefits. The Friday night fete at Mar-a-Lago was themed "Little Party Never Killed Nobody," according to the White House, referencing the song from the 2013 film adaptation of the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. Guests were seen wearing 1920s attire, and there were hosts in flapper attire greeting the invitees, which included Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Yeah, we know people who go to these things. Trump did not deliver remarks when reporters were in the room. Fitzgerald's 1925 novel has been celebrated by literary scholars for years for its depiction of the wealth and class divisions in the country that took place during the 1920s. Several Democrats noted the symbolism and criticized the president for throwing the bash while government shutdown continues. Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin accused Trump of not caring about Americans who would go without SNAP benefits because of the shutdown. Quote, last night, Trump made it even clearer that he doesn't give a dang about anyone but himself and his wealthy friends, he said in a statement. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy reshared a photo from the party on his social media and commented, quote, the way he rubs his inhumanity in Americans' faces never ceases to stun me. White House spokeswoman Anna Kelly dismissed the critics, arguing in a statement Saturday, quote, these Democrats are full of it. Look, everybody can be right, okay? That's the thing about reality is you can have two groups of people saying two entirely different things, and sometimes, not all the time, sometimes everybody can be right. Quote, President Trump has consistently called on them to do the right thing. And then it goes into the whole hullabaloo about SNAP benefits, the government shutdown, who's at fault, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you covered much of that. It's, of course, as always, a circuitous circus to keep people locked in and angry at each other. And just as filled with sort of, the classic diversions, misinformation, and rhetorical tomfoolery that we're used to seeing with this sort of things, Guns. But it was the very next day that SNAP benefits remained suspended. However, there are some emergency funding on the way, so don't worry, everybody. The good news is that it seems that prices at Walmart actually dropped after the SNAP benefits were not reinstituted by the shutdown government. I don't know exactly how to say that. Yeah. But here, Guns, we know you pay attention to the 33. 33 was very specifically connected to this Great Gatsby 1920s party that was thrown at the White House. Now, for those who don't remember the book, The Great Gatsby, from high school or whenever we
I read it in high school.
Forced to read it. Yeah. Did you see the recent movie, the 20?
I did not. I didn't watch the movie.
I remember it's pretty good if I remember correctly. But for those who don't remember the book, it takes place in the Roaring 20s, 1920s, of course, famously the 9 years before the Great Depression that started by the crash in 1929. And yeah, you're in your high school literary class and you're breaking it down and you're talking about how, the separation between the classes, the wild wealth and parties that the rich, the gold leaf, the Rolls Royces.
A Yale graduate too, probably Skull and Bones. They don't mention that in the story, but it's possible that Nick Carraway
was that great.
No, Nick Carraway was the main character. Was a Yale graduate in the story. So good
find. Good point. Now, the interesting thing about The Great Gatsby, because in our high school literary classes, we talk about it. We go, wow, what are they saying? What does this mean? Mm-hmm. There's some like death of God stuff in there with the billboard and the da-da-da. Mm-hmm. But in hindsight, now 100 years later, you look back and you go, wow, what a powerful novel to show the separation of wealth and wealth distribution in America and the classism, right? And we all know what happened next. And that was the 1929 stock market crash and the Great Depression. And the novel gains like a lot of symbolic power because specifically of the Great Depression that happened after the novel. And the interesting thing about the novel is that it was published in 1925. It was published before the Great Depression even happened. It would be like the 1920s version of like predictive programming almost,
Right.
Today we get the Avengers, back then they got the Great Gatsby.
Yeah, and this is the movie version. This is this an older version of the movie with the famous Leonardo DiCaprio toasting with the fireworks in the background? Is that an older?
Well, it's 2013.
That was 2013.
I believe. Yeah, that's what this
really
mentioned. Yeah. Why are you surprised? Is because
I am. I thought.
And...
I thought the whole meme thing with that came from a much earlier rendition of it, but
earlier. No. I mean, we could look it up if it matters. Let's go like this.
It doesn't matter, but
Great Gatsby. What's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio. You're right. It's 2013.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Wow.
So there's something interesting happening here because, of course, our minds directly go to Marina Abramovich's description of President Trump, Donald Trump, as a very powerful chaos magician. And we've talked about this for a long time because there's lots of, it's in his character to meet as much adversity as possible, respond to that adversity with pure chaos, making decisions that make no sense. No normal person would make the decisions he makes, somehow seemingly to throw gasoline on the fire. Everything he says and does just continues to get people mad and want to, take him down in so many ways. And he is always met with things always turn out in his favor. Right. And, we can get into the chaos magic and all the kind of stuff. But obviously, some sort of, whether you have sort of a supernatural worldview or not, there is something strange about this man and the chaos that he either naturally sort of inflicts on the world, or does he know? Does he sort of know something about the way the world works, or whatever, whether supernaturally or not, remains to be seen. But even the head witch, one of the highest occultists in the world living today, astonishes crowds when she talks about how talented Donald Trump is as like this very powerful chaos magician. Now, of course, a lot of that sort of chaos magic, the occult workings of how the world works, again, whether it's sort of on purpose or it's just the way things roll out, holding the Great Gatsby party on the eve of the shutdown of the SNAP food system, where 42 million Americans won't get their SNAP. It begs the question, why are 42 million Americans on SNAP benefits?
That is a question.
It's like, what is that? It's like it's like what? 10, 8%, 10, 12%.
No, that's much higher. Yeah, we're talking 12, 13% minimum.
Yeah. 12, 13% of the entire country on this, which begs so many other questions. Yeah, begs so many questions. There's so many things going on there. But you look at it in the supernatural way, on the eve of like the Last Supper, he's throwing this like Last Supper of SNAP benefits on the 33rd day of the shutdown, on this with this very specific theme. Again, Great Gatsby, published in 1925. It is now 2025. And as usual, with every choice that he makes, creates this like very stark, very easy target, very rich, succulent meal for the mainstream media or John Oliver or whoever, to make a sort of point. And it's my suspicion that he repeatedly does these things that are such easy points to make, because it must give some sort of power to the intention behind it or something, doing something that every mass media outlet just cannot help but put into the minds and the attention of every single person in the country. And it's sort of, I wonder to myself sometimes, I go, okay, look, we look at the world in this supernatural way. And of course, the biblical supernaturalism is our foundation, but extending from that, because we know that we live in a spiritual world and there's a spiritual war, and it's not just all angels. There are demons, and it's not just prayer, but there are spells, and there are two sides of this thing going on. And so when we see an event or a ritual like this with very specific numbers attached and very specific things, not doing the show for 2 or 3 weeks, Gons, gave me the opportunity to go, are we crazy? Are we just creating some sort of thing that is, because that's the criticism that any sort of normie would bring to us, or maybe anybody who thinks, I don't know, COVID was weird, or these various things, like the human brain makes patterns, and so you see patterns where there don't exist. Well, we turn and say, well, maybe the patterns exist. Why are you ignoring the patterns? The patterns are obviously there. What is anything if not patterns? But then I look around, and we often will kind of dissect or critique kind of leftist conspiracy theories. Remember, they were tracking planes and building this story of how Trump was loading up immigrants in military planes and dumping them in the ocean, and this whole thing, all the way to even the responses that people had to, like, Charlie Kirk's assassination, where we are so the response, the mindset is so absolutely foreign to most people on our side that it seems like they're just living in an absolutely separate reality, even to the degree that we talk about living in, dimension A and dimensions B, like interdimensionality happening right in front of us. The narrative, we of course always bring this back to the narrative control. The stories that we're told is what defines people's reality. And, I sit there and I think, I don't feel crazy. I mean, it doesn't seem crazy. I mean, it seems to line up pretty well. Not that I'm gonna, I don't know, there's no bet on Kalshi or something that I can make. I can't benefit really from seeing these sort of patterns.
Kalshi is a prediction platform for
Polymarket,
Polymarket,
online
Kalshi,
betting stuff.
New decentralized betting leverage.
Sorry, was Kalshi a little? Was that a little?
I think it was a little. Yeah, people that don't know brand. They won't know what we're talking about if you say Kalshi.
Like Polymarket kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so it's any comments so far?
I mean, I think one of the things. So. I told you, Basil, that I've been deep in this rabbit hole with the whole Zionist issue the last couple weeks.
Right.
And I'm seeing the template of discussion, or lack of discussion, I would argue, happening with all kinds of different topics. And it must be fundamental to the chaos magic, because nobody is able to define terms. No one's able to talk on a level playing field. Everyone's talking past one another because they have different definitions for things, and it's quintessential left-right paradigm type stuff, right? They see the world in one way, the left sees it another way. Like it's this constant divide and conquer thing. But a theme that I've seen emerge out of everything going on, especially in the context of fifth generation warfare, which is a war on narratives, is people are taking narrative over nuance. So there's no longer any nuance in anything. It's just narratives, and people are battling with narratives. They're literally picking up a narrative and chucking it at someone and they're saying, and then they pick up a narrative and they chuck it back. And there's just no nuance. And nuance is where a lot of the actual things are taking place, whether it be some kind of agenda, nefarious or good. And people are just missing the bigger picture. So when it comes to something like this, with obviously the symbolism is pretty interesting. And as you said, Basil, I don't know if this is Trump recognizing what he's doing or somebody's in his ear and thinking, oh, this would be a great Halloween party thing, but also, provide the unspoken symbolic message to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
of how,
or is it just manifesting sort of on its own,
right?
like God's providence or the simulation or something? I mean, oftentimes recently, I've kind of just been, the option has been occurring to me more that, like, maybe what we see or might immediately think of as conspiracy might also just be the sort of natural manifestation of what we already know, what is written, in Revelation and prophecy. Is it because that's always the question, like, well, who's really pulling the strings? Well, who's really deciding, who's really doing this stuff? And not to say that nobody's in control of anything, but oftentimes, like with this, sometimes I'm thinking, oh, maybe this is just under the sovereignty of God, this set of circumstances that are so blatantly sort of a messaging, whether they are a message from somebody, they certainly message something. In this case, it's sort of messages like the collapse of the economy or something coming up, another Great Depression coming up, which again really only occurs to us so strongly because of all the other reasons why we see, the reset of the global financial system, the CBDC crypto takeover. Like, we already know that's coming. So for this Great Gatsby party Trump thing, the numbers line up. Whether that's like a Q level message somebody's sending, or the sort of natural or rather supernatural manifestation of what we already know is coming. It almost doesn't matter at this point whether it's one or the other. But what does matter is, paying attention to it and aligning ourselves with God's plan and not getting caught up in what you mentioned earlier, which is hyperreality.
And The Great Gatsby is almost the prime example for hyperreality, because some of the themes from The Great Gatsby include the illusion of the American dream. That's a big one. I remember talking about that in high school. When we had to read it, this idea of the American dream, is it like a real thing or is it just an illusion? And then obviously class decay, moral decay, the pursuit of love, because there's a love story intertwined with all of this. A lot of what the main character was doing was to win the lady, right? He was doing the stuff to try to win the lady. And then one of the major themes is the contrast between what is an appearance and versus what's reality, what's real, right? And so it touches on those themes. And so for him to do this, it's the messaging of the hyperreality aspect of it is even deeper. It's kind of like, what are you saying, Trump? Are you saying that there is obviously an appearance of this opulent gathering of the elite in costumes, having a cocktail at this very elaborate White House party?
And a direct allusion to The Great Gatsby. Like, it's not a coincidence.
Yes. No, it's not. Yeah, like a straightforward, it's a Great Gatsby party.
Reference to The Great Gatsby, right?
Right. So even then, it's almost like it's either very deliberate or some kind of spiritual powers at play, whether it's God orchestrating it or the principalities and powers pushing for these coincidences, so to speak, quote unquote, right? These,
and sometimes I'm starting to come to the conclusion of, like, maybe it doesn't matter which one, or maybe it's both or whatever. Like, it might not actually be the most important thing to get caught up in whether or not
labeling,
some
identifying
sort of supernatural expression, or there's
sorry
some
about that.
purpose
That was
behind
a fat finger jingle.
because that's an easy way. And the reason why it's, I believe, at times, and I might change my mind, and I might come back and say, guys,
What?
I take it
Change your
all back.
mind? What are you,
Whatever.
wishy-washy, lukewarm? Get out of here, heretic.
I know,
I'm just
this
kidding,
is
I'm
why
kidding.
we're not a bigger podcast.
What are you talking about? Nuance? You got to take sides in the war. We're going to lose the war if you don't take a side.
Well, you're not wrong. Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, that is
I know.
the impression now.
Yeah.
And it's something kind of new in our space, that you have to come down on one side. You have to lock in with one narrative or another, or you're bad, or you're not worth listening or talking to.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, as you've been so directly experiencing recently with things going on in the Middle East. But we know it's a fifth generation warfare. We know it's spiritual warfare, and this not just desire, but this obligation that people feel, even people who aren't podcast, like, even if you're not some sort of famous X person, or even if you having an opinion is not your livelihood or something, whatever. The point is to get you to lock in to hyperreality. And hyperreality, taking the few weeks off and just like watching the world go by, and just, I kept up with the news, but like I wasn't as locked in as I normally would have to be if I was doing the show so often. And this idea of hyperreality, and really the sort of like the understanding of what exactly that is as it manifests in the world around us, because especially with AI, social media, all these things that our life is just saturated with, that includes just regular mass media, the news, etc., or your X timeline, whatever. It's all this war of narratives. The world is not made of atoms, it's made of stories. Your entire understanding of not just the world, but also yourself, come from the stories that you are told, and that you tell, and that you, whether they are forced on you or you seek them out, that is what dictates your whole understanding of what's going on around. I could go back to the metaphor of the Aztecs seeing the ships on the horizon, thinking they're clouds. We've talked about all this before. But let me just give you a little bit of hyperreality. Hyperreality is a concept in post-structuralism that refers to the process of the evolution of notions of reality, leading to a cultural state of confusion between signs and symbols invented to stand in for reality, and the direct perceptions of consensus reality. Okay, we've talked about the chaos magic. We've talked many, many times about signs and symbols, and how these are the things that are used to form our understanding around us. And hyperreality at its very basic level is when we start mistaking the signs and symbols that were invented to like stand in or communicate something. We start taking those signs and symbols as the reality itself, instead of like this consensus reality. Consensus reality, the sort of basic term for like everybody agrees what's real. And if there's anything about today, nobody agrees on what's real. Not a,
that's
just
it
nobody.
almost this connects to the crypto conversation. I apologize for interjecting crypto
No,
into this.
It connects to everything. You're right.
It connects to everything, but it is interesting that hyperreality, they're unleashing it upon the masses on the internet right now, because what are the tenets of blockchain technology? Don't trust, verify. Every transaction can be verified on a blockchain. You don't have to trust anybody. You don't have to look at a simulation. It's just there, but it creates this illusion of consensus. It's the algorithms that create blockchain technology is called the consensus mechanism, or one of the labels is a consensus mechanism, a consensus algorithm, because all these different computers or nodes have to agree before a transaction goes through. And so it's setting up this precedent where nothing will be deemed real unless there is some level of consensus going on. but who's the one doing the consenting of that consensus?
Right.
That becomes a very important question. But yeah, that's I've very familiar with the word simulacra. People have used it.
Yeah.
And he's the one that wrote the book Simulacra and Simulations. So that's the one that fed the Matrix. Are you taking screenshots over there? Where are you
yeah,
doing?
I am. Can you hear that?
Okay.
Is that getting it?
I can. Yeah.
I'm screenshotting some comments because it's good, and I don't want to lose them because they're important later.
Okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, just again, coming back to the hyperreality, because this is why some people can so gleefully celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk, while someone else is just like, it's so far away from our perception of even how would someone feel that way. Not much less act that way, but feel that way with any sort of conviction here.
I feel that being a Christian, though, there is a level of we're supposed to reach out to those, like, let's say the individual, like the liberal, whatever, progressive individual who's celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Instead of calling them crazy and saying, which that's our natural reaction, right? Being on one side of the aisle or another. It's like, oh, these people are crazy. They've lost their minds. They're demonic, And some of that might be true, but also nobody is trying to build a bridge. Nobody's reaching out saying, well, why does that person think that way? Nobody's trying to have a conversation with, you know what I mean? There's no...
Well, that would have to take both of you to break out of hyperreality, which is
I'm
hyperreality. Hyperreality is seen as a condition in which, because of the compression of perceptions of reality in culture and media, what is generally regarded as real and what is understood as fiction are seamlessly blended together in experiences, so that there is no longer any clear distinction where one ends and the other begins, meaning there's no clear distinction between what's fiction and what's reality. And this is where you get like a lot of Trump as a whole. He almost like is hyperreality.
Right. He's the Pied Piper for bringing us all into the hyperreality era.
It's almost impossible to start to pick apart and sort of ravel, if you will, what is fiction and what is actually fact about him. And that's why, you see these conversations between, let's face it, a sort of well-informed person on the right and a sort of standard default leftist person. The standard default leftist person just knows he's a felon because he has 34 felonies, and that's just the way he is, and he's a rapist and these things. And someone who's a little bit more informed might ask, okay, what was the felony? And the person on the left will go, well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's a felon. They call him a felon, so he's a felon. Okay. Well, do you know any of the details of what that is? No, it's just is what it is. And so you have these two hyperrealities sort of bumping up against one another, and this almost impossible distinction between fact and fiction. You see, this Great Gatsby party is a very interesting example of that, because you have an explicit fiction, which is the novel The Great Gatsby, and you have reality, which is it is the 33rd day of the lockdown, of the government shutdown, the day before SNAP benefits. It all perfectly coalesces.
At the White House. Yeah.
It's at the White House.
Halloween.
All the elites are there. It's Halloween. All the details. And it almost becomes impossible to be like, well, no, the Great Gatsby is a work of fiction, but it's being played out in reality. Like, it is basically real now, almost like it was a script or something, but even more than that.
There's a well, let me play this jingle. So I brought up the hive mind because there's a longer explanation directly from plato.stanford.edu. Thank you very much, Stanford, for giving us all of the insights into Baudrillard's. Is that how you say it? Baudrillard? I don't know how to say his name.
Baudrillard, I think.
Baudrillard, the guy who wrote The Great Gatsby, or not The Great Gatsby, but the Hyperreality. So one of the things he says, at least on the Stanford document here, it says Baudrillard goes beyond the Frankfurt School of applying the semiological theory of the sign to describe how commodities, media, and technologies provide a universe of illusion and fantasy in which individuals become overpowered by consumer values, media ideologies, and role models, and seductive technologies like computers, which provide worlds of cyberspace. Eventually, he will take this analysis of domination by signs and the system of objects to even more pessimistic conclusions, where he concludes that the thematic of the, quote, end of the individual sketched by the Frankfurt School has reached its fruition in the total defeat of human subjectivity by the object world. I mean, a lot of, I don't know, kind of big words there, but essentially saying that he's describing a hive mind, that there is no individual anymore. You're just along for the ride, whatever. I like the part where it says consumer values, media ideologies, and role models, because that's what we're seeing now, you know, with any kind of argument online. Let me just take the Christian Zionist conversation, for example. I'm seeing way more people just character assassinate people on both sides. It's not just one side or the other. You know, Tucker Carlson's being called anti-Semite. Tucker Carlson called all Christian Zionists as having a brain tumor or whatever. A brain, what did he call it?
Virus.
Brain virus. So the name calling is creating this true hive mind situation where no nuance, just narrative. It's just narrative, boom, boom, boom. And not even, at a certain degree, it's not even the narrative. It's the messengers of the narrative that people are arguing over. So everyone's arguing over Charlie Kirk, his position on Israel, this and that. Everyone's arguing about Nick Fuentes. Everyone's arguing about Tucker Carlson. Nobody's talking about the actual issues at hand. And that's sort of what we're seeing with any topic. You think about any topic nowadays, nobody's really talking about the issues. And if you are, nobody cares because it doesn't get your what's the chemical in your brain that really gets you going? People clicking dopamine. Yeah, it doesn't really trigger the dopamine stuff in your brain. So nobody cares about actual objective conversation or, you know, finding common ground or gray area or anything like that. It's all about character assassination. It's narrative pushing. It is pushing consumer values. It's pushing media ideologies, role models, seductive technologies, really delivering all that. But it's the hive mind, Basil. And before it was kind of like, yeah, the hive mind conceptually. Now it's like, no, hive mind. Like we're looking at it right here. It's everywhere. Well, and it's incredibly frustrating to live in such a world where everybody is just repeating narratives that
one way you can understand it, and I think this is really relevant in your your Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes sort of dominating. You're right. Like these topics are not being discussed in the form of the topics. They're being discussed in the drama that is right-wing influencers and the relationships between them. It's very entertainment that way. It's very WWE that way, you know, and it's very effective in getting people really super wrapped up in it. Let's see here. Let me grab.
I could just do a whole stream on my X timeline and just how triggered I get on everything.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's it. That's the fifth generation warfare is to keep you in the hyperreality. One metaphor that might help understand hyperreality a little bit is the concept of a map, right? Let's say we can all fly 10,000 feet in the air. We can look down and we can look at the land. Right. But then somebody draws a map of the land. We all, you know, pull up maps on our phones.
It's flat. Sorry.
The map is the sign or the symbol, right? It's a symbol that we've made to represent the reality, the actual land. But hyperreality is when you are convinced or, you know, even subconsciously or not knowingly, you start thinking of the map as the real or as the more real. And this happens very easily for us because we use maps all the time. I mean, the maps, they're good. They help us. They get us from place to place all the time. The map is almost always, you know, effectively might as well be real to us because it works so well, and we all agree on the map because we all use the map, and now we all kind of as a group start referring to the map as the reality rather than the actual land itself. But this is happening on sort of a mass scale. So similar to, we're all looking at the map of an issue, which in this case is, well, Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, and then Ted Cruz is in there. And we talk about the map of how this is playing out between these personalities without really actually paying attention anymore to the topic itself, to the reality of the situation. And that's when we get sort of this whole mess that we have online. And it's it's almost impossible to step outside of the hyper reality, and you can start to kind of see the way that this plays out in almost every topic we talk about. However, one thing that is very effective, and you can even see the hyper reality sort of supplanting reality, like I said, with the Great Gatsby party, because really Great Gatsby is a symbol. Trump at this point is also more of a symbol than anything. Nobody knows anything about the actual guy, but the orange man is the symbol, whether he's a certain kind of symbol to a patriot, or he's a different kind of symbol to a leftist or whatever. You've got symbol on symbol on symbol interacting with one another, not to mention the days and the this and the that have at this point almost no connection to reality, but it becomes the most possible real thing. But because those symbols mean different things to different people, not only does nobody agree on anything, but they can't agree on anything.
Yeah,
this is very effective. There's, it's the 73rd anniversary of the NSA. Happy birthday, NSA, today. And, talk about the powers that be, even just very simple bureaucratic government institutions whose entire job is to monitor and create or snuff out different narratives to sort of control this hyper reality. And the thing with controlling hyper reality is that it's even more effective than controlling reality, because you don't even have to change reality. Reality is, why even bother changing reality? All you got to do is change the hyper reality. And that's why we see president after president, after politician after politician, after election after election after election, nothing really changes, because they're not.
Our day to day doesn't change, really.
They are not worried about reality at all. You are not voting on reality at all. You are voting on hyper reality.
Yeah.
You're voting on how you will feel about the narrative tomorrow, not what will literally change the next day.
I think it's worth mentioning. I know I keep bringing up the whole Christian Zionist conversation, but in the context of this hyper reality and fifth generation warfare, the reason why I've been so fired up about this topic is because prior to our recent era, a lot of the debates were in-house. When's the rapture? Is the Antichrist before the rapture? After? It's like very innocent type of. A lot of people would have agreed with you that this is not a salvation issue. It's more of an in-house debate on hermeneutics. How are we interpreting the scriptures, right? So that conversation has always existed, and different commentaries, different viewpoints have always existed on how to handle scripture. But now with this layer of hyper reality, and bringing this conversation about Zionism and the word Israel, I can't even say the word Israel without, in my brain at this point, like 5 or 6 definitions rattling off. Sir Dylan was talking about a pull-down menu. Anytime you mention Israel with someone, like you need them to like basically Israel. Oh, sorry. Here are 10 definitions of Israel. How are you using it in this conversation? Right? And really, we need that to have a fruitful conversation about it, but we can't, because people just have the presuppositions of certain words. They're not communicating that, so people get lost. But the Bible is supposed to be this final bastion of reality, the rock that we're supposed to have this firm foundation in the Word of God, and we do. I think people, Christian Zionists would agree with the non-Christian Zionists that the word of God is true. Now, how that applies, how we interpret certain things may differ, but people are getting sucked into this false debate almost about Israel, all this stuff, because people are turning it into a salvation issue. I made a little graphic on X and I said, hey, is one's position on the modern nation state of Israel determine one's salvation? And I've been posting it on different threads where people are going, yeah, Tucker Carlson, Hitler, Nazi, whatever. And I'm saying, hey, anything? There was one post where it got like 1,500 to 2,000 impressions, no replies. And I said, wow, you guys are seeing this and no reply? Like not even one person saying like, actually, no, it's not a salvation issue, right? And it was only after I made that comment saying nobody replying to this, a few people replied, but there were mostly people that agreed with me saying that, no, it's not a salvation issue. Some people said it was, and they made their arguments for it. I tend to disagree ultimately, but they made some good points, and that's fine. I'd rather have that conversation or exchange than, Tucker's an anti-Semite, and if you're a Christian Zionist, then you're brain virus or whatever. It's just completely unfruitful. So my concern right now is that this hyper-reality situation is being brought into the conversation about hermeneutics, how we understand the Bible. And that to me seems like a bigger agenda to disrupt the followers of Christ. I'll just make it a very general, admittedly a sweeping generalization, Christ followers, and create all kinds of divisions. Because in this world right now, and I mentioned this a few months ago, we have all the tools at our fingertips, given the technology that's available to us, our ability to look into the Greek words, the Hebrew words, the Aramaic words, the definitions, the context of everything. There's the reasons to have denominations, other than maybe the big ones like Catholicism or versus Orthodox or something like that. But in general, a lot of the smaller denominations, the differences shouldn't really be there anymore. It's more preference, it's more ritual, it's stuff like that. It's not necessarily the authority of the scriptures, but because of this hyperreality, those things are becoming life and death in the eyes or the minds of many people. And if people don't agree with their interpretation of scripture, or not even scripture, eschatology, then you're a heretic. And that's just, I don't know. It's troubling to me because I see the divide and conquer really working very well amidst the church, which was already pretty, the church has always been a little contentious about, debating about different things and splitting up on different doctrine or doctrinal differences or whatnot. But now it seems like because the tools are available to have a lot more agreement. If we really just, if we didn't have the NSA or, these narrative crafters or the fifth generation warfare going on, a lot more people would probably have more common ground or have more fruitful conversations about the differences. But instead it's just, a political thing, a politicized thing, even with Trump. Given the way, what was the article or what was the outlet that wrote that? Was it ABC that wrote this Trump thing? I mean, this Trump article wasn't egregious like it had been in the past when it comes to like the caricature of Trump that the mainstream media presents. But I just find it strange that the mainstream media had done all this narrative crafting or perception crafting of the man Donald Trump over the years. And a lot of people agreed that, hey, mainstream media is fake news. It's mischaracterizing Trump. It's taking isolated clips of Trump and making a whole narrative out of it. And what I find interesting now is I see the same people that said that the mainstream media is crafting a narrative about Trump. The same people are doing the same thing the mainstream media used to do by taking clips, little tiny clips of, and this is not just the Christian Zionists. This is also the anti-Christian Zionists taking clips of Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. Everyone's got little clips that affirms their narrative, and they're using that as a weapon against all dissenting thought.
Yeah, well, the people themselves become the symbol. Charlie Kirk's a good example. And, depending on what clip you grab of someone during whatever time that they said anything, you're not actually using the person as a sort of, representation of reality, or you're not using the actual person as, you're not debating a topic. You are presenting a clip of a person, and that person is a symbol. It means different things to different people. But the same thing with Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. Fuentes especially. I mean, goodness gracious, that's right, folks. Can we call it or what? I mean, it's
I know.
It used to be we had to wait like maybe a year, maybe 2 years for our weird little side interests. Watching something happening becomes, totally just the most important thing in the world. We're used to this now, but we're down to like weeks now.
You had brought up the Nick Fuentes sort of op to get him into the eyes of the mainstream, or at least the alt stream. And within weeks.
I'm like Tom. I feel like Tom Cruise in Minority Report. Like I'm just going
You're just a bald lady in a pool of goo, predicting totally the future.
Disconnected. Nobody cares about. Nobody even wants to hear me talk about it. And then boom, 3 weeks later, it's like the most important thing, because it really is. No, we weren't necessarily going to dive deep into the Tucker Fuentes thing. I know you mentioned it, but the second I saw it pop up, like Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes goes on Tucker Carlson, I'm like, okay, that's what I've been telling you people. This is where we are. And, very bizarre, sort of, again, we're not even really talking about the real people. We're talking about Fuentes as a symbol, and we're talking about Tucker Carlson as a symbol, and they bring those two guys together. And that thing alone, I mean, there had been some rumblings underneath the surface of the right and some operations, obviously, to destabilize Trump's base and things like this. But that was like, that lit the fuse, or maybe that was the explosion.
I think that was the explosion.
Tucker and Fuentes really sent everything into a next level of chaos.
Just unbelievable.
So there you go. That's why you listen to your best buddies over here about what to pay attention to, because it inevitably becomes the most important thing.
Oh, the straw man is ridiculous too. The straw man arguments. I am sick of the straw man. There's no steel man anywhere. It's just all straw man.
It's all
I see a lot of people, a lot of Christians. I've never seen so many Christian Zionists speak up either. Like they're like activated, man. They're like, oh, they're coming after us now.
But it matches up perfectly with what you had described, what you had seen coming, which is, the main separation coming, not being left and right, but being Israel, or specifically Judeo-Christian separation. Yeah. And that is what we're looking at. I mean, the Tucker and Fuentes, thing about Israel, really, you boil that whole conversation down, and it's about the separation of Judeo and Christian.
I know.
And that's the essential separation going on in the right now. But, everybody feels that. But remember, it's just hyper-reality, folks.
Hyper-reality, I know. And I just want to mention that if you're criticizing Christian Zionism, it doesn't mean you're promoting replacement theology, because that is everybody on the Christian Zionist side are saying, you know why they're doing that? It's because there's really bad theology called replacement theology. The church never replaced the Jews and all this stuff, and it's like nobody said any of that. That's like a 50-year-old argument that they're bringing up. No, I didn't hear Tucker Carlson say anything about replacement theology, or it's just what are they doing? It shows they do not understand the argument.
I'm throwing you a rope, Guns. Climb out of the hole.
I must solve this before the world ends. The world is ending, Basil. America is ending. Do you not see this? We must solve the problem.
Take my hand and look at this next article that I found.
Oh, yeah. What are we doing?
Let's jump over here to Wired. I want to thank Baroness ARIRL for finding and sending this to me. And this, again, another hello. I'm telling you, folks, I almost wish that I was just a listener of this podcast, because it's just endless.
You can be. You listen to yourself.
I could, but it's hard to listen to your own voice,
True.
So, of course, we noted this a couple years ago when masters in occult sciences and magic started popping up in different highly regarded universities across the world. And the mention was, hey, why do you make a master's program? Why do you credentialize anything? It's because you want to make a group of experts. And so the prediction was we're going to see experts in the occult and magic start showing up in the media as like real members like of news media, bringing them on as experts, as witnesses, as things like this. And then of course, a few months later, we start seeing Fox bring on occultists as, experts of a topic. We start seeing ABC, NPR, they all start reaching in to this this bucket of occult and magical experts as a legitimate, credentialed scholarly
Commentary and analysis.
sort of academic analysis on stuff going on around the world. And here's another example of that, but I think even more interesting. This is Wired magazine, and the headline of this interface we're going to look at for a second is called AI of 1,000 Faces.
Artificial intelligence.
And what we see in the background on this header image is what appears to be AI-themed tarot cards. Okay, says here hundreds of millions of people use it, trillions of dollars fuel it. In 2025, the conversation around AI turned from what it could be to what it is. Large language models are now everywhere, in our schools, in our homes, on therapist couches, on government computers. We feed it our data and tell it our secrets. The world is collectively engaged in a live experiment with few controls and almost no regulation. The best case and the worst case scenarios all seem to end with our planet being forever transformed. Wired can't tell the future, but we can try to make sense of it. Behold, 17 readings from the furthest reaches of the AI age. And you scroll down a little bit and you see they have laid out a table of AI tarot cards. And there's a little button here that says pick a card. Now, these cards, I'll tell you this right off the bat. I read a few of these. There's nothing in the articles that this will link you to that we haven't talked about. So we're not going to read one unless one really catches your eye, Gons. But it's more about the presentation. Notice how they haven't even mentioned tarot or occults or anything, but they simply lay out as if the reader doesn't even need to question this format of getting their news from a tarot card layout. And these cards, they start out with the best one right at the top, and that is AI as kink. Now, this one, I did read this one, but it is about a reporter who was trying to develop sexual relationships with various AIs, and what she got from that, the value she got from that. But you can see, and for those who are listening, we have, as in classic tarot card fashion, sort of esoteric, very occult looking images on these cards. I don't know if we necessarily need to describe them all, but they're kind of your basic thing. We have AI as kink, AI as bubble, AI as therapist, AI as screen killer, AI as sentient, AI as startup, AI as religion, AI as artist. It keeps going, folks. There's more. AI as teacher, AI as emotional spell check, AI as normal, AI as Americanizer, AI as a weapon, AI as PR, AI as mother, AI as black box, and AI as journalism. And if any of these catch your fancy, you can click on one and it has this little image that picks up the card. It flips the card around. It'll show you, AI of 1,000 faces and give you a little description. Then you click in to read the thing.
I clicked on AI as religion and it says, a new church rises up.
Yes.
Lauren Good tests her faith.
Even the phrase AI of 1,000 faces sort of is this very specific reference to a sort of competing ancient religious what's the word? I don't know. So so the God of 1,000 faces, or the God of 1,000 names, or the God of 1,000 this or that. This pops up in several places in ancient religions. Baal was considered, God of 1,000 forms, God of 1,000 faces. I believe could be wrong, I think it's in the Quran, talks about Allah as God of 1,000 names. So you have these sort of competing ancient religions using this same sort of phraseology. So presenting it as AI of 1,000 faces, sort of recognizing and embracing what people like us, Gons, have been talking about, the occult and esoteric significance of AI since 2012, okay? Going over a decade. And then, about 5 years ago, we go, oh my gosh, AI comes out. We go, oh my gosh, look at the occult significance. Look at the signs. Look at the symbols. Look at the Gnostic priests that they have in the development teams. This is very obviously a sort of occult, significantly occult and occultly significant. And now in this blatantly occult presentation of AI, they are saying, hey, regular mainstream person, this is not a weird podcaster thing. This is not a trippy guy who's trying to draw illusions between cyberneticists and esoteric traditions and AI to kind of make a point about spiritual warfare. This is Wired magazine saying, hello, regular person, welcome to our tarot deck. Let us guide you down the stairwell, the rabbit hole of just how esoteric we want you to think about AI.
Yeah.
So, again, this is one of these moments I look back at our career and our analysis, and being so edgy and being so so analytic and being on top of it and finding these connections, and it's almost like they're like, yeah, we don't even need to hide it anymore. In fact, we want you to think not only is it esoteric and occult, but it's good that it's esoteric and occult. It's that famous, the process of conspiracy theory. First they deny it, then they say it's happening but only a little bit, and then they say, okay, it is happening but it's good. They say immigration with vaccine stuff with this is the cycle of a conspiracy theorist frustration. Is first they deny it.
This is true.
And they say, okay, it's happening, but not that much. And then they say, yeah, it is happening, and it's good that it's happening. So we've reached the phase in the spiritual warfare, occult AI connection that they're like, yeah, it is actually explicitly occult and dark, and it's good. It's good that way.
It's good, right? And it makes sense because Joseph Campbell, who famously made the hero's journey famous, he wrote the book The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and he was referencing this divine archetype, that there's this divine essence that manifests itself in different ways, and Jesus is just one of those ways that manifested the divine energy and all that kind of stuff. So that's one way that maybe you can spiritualize AI, that AI is everything, and there are many different ways that it the truth is presented to the people depending on your prompt or whatever, right? But also on more of the esoteric side, the phrase "as above, so below," like everyone's kind of familiar with that idea, right? Well, the whole quote is "as above, so below, the one becomes the many." That's the full line. So it referencing this 1,000 faces idea. So yeah, I mean, if it's not hidden at all that these are they are no longer occult. Occult just means hidden, but they are esoteric ideas that are becoming a lot more mainstreamed. And interesting how the more AI is out there, the more this esotericism is promoted as parallel to AI. It's almost like it's the only reference people can grasp onto historically that gives it some kind of grounding for people. Like, oh, okay, AI is this crazy thing, but if we just understand it from this esoteric perspective, we can wrap our minds around it, you know? Meanwhile, the believers that read the Bible are like, that sounds like the image of the beast. This like inanimate object that receives breath and, you know, demands worship or kills anybody who doesn't, you know, worship it. So, I'm not surprised at any of this. But why do we need a tarot deck of articles to tell us about all the different facets of AI?
It's hyperreality, baby. It's all about the signs and the symbols. If you can boil down all of these things that they want to tell you about AI, remember there's an article for each one of these things here. The sign or the symbol becomes more important, becomes more real than the actual consensus reality. It's a very powerful little trick they're doing here, and has been the trick of tarot forever. I mean, tarot actually operates on this hyperreality concept and has for hundreds of years or whatever. It's kind of the whole concept. It is the sort of cognitive tool of tarot cards, which is why also nowadays, of course, there are, you know, sort of the occultists and new agey people who do kind of consider still the, you know, the power of the cards or whatever. But on a broader sort of witch talk, self-help pop magic level, which we've talked about in the past, there are practicing tarot card people who just, you know, they're more like, it's just the symbols help you process and you find more things about yourself, and you know that the cards themselves aren't sort of magic, but it's the symbols on the cards that you relate to, and what does that mean to you, and apply that to your own situation. It's just a practice in hyperreality. And that's the thing with sort of pop magic in general, and it's also something we see a lot with politics and Trump and things like this, where you can get to the point where you're choosing for the symbols to be more important than the reality. In the same way, you know, some pop magic self-helper might go, oh, I just use tarot because it helps me process my thoughts, and the images, the symbols help me organize how I think about my life. It's the same as like an Antifa person holding Trump as the symbol of all evil, despite what's actually real. It doesn't actually matter if he committed crimes. It doesn't matter if he, you know, whatever. It isn't as racist as they want him to be or whatever, because they want him to be the symbol. And we're in a phase right now, and this has been true throughout history to a degree. But the ability and the encouragement to live in hyperreality, to choose hyperreality. It was also one thing to reference the Fuentes talk with Tucker Carlson, and I mentioned this to you before the show. There was one phrase, there was one thing in there that Fuentes said that didn't get a lot of attention because everybody's freaking out about all the other stuff. But they were talking about the violence, Luigi Mangione, Charlie Kirk's killer, things like that. And Tucker had asked Fuentes, like, well, what are the young people doing these days? Everybody's so violent. And my favorite line of the whole thing was Tucker Carlson going, what is porn? To Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to go there. It's just the best line. What is porn? Okay. But Nick Fuentes was referring to, oh, I had not seen that picture. That
you haven't seen this picture? Oh my goodness. The jokes on this one was hilarious. This is dad hanging out with a high school senior.
Yeah,
graduation
Carlson standing next to Nick Fuentes with his arm around his shoulder, and they do look related. They look
like it looks like his son's about to graduate college. My boy's growing up.
So the phrase that Nick Fuentes used was, there is a surrealist violence in the Gen Z crowd. And you don't have to be Gen Z, but you know, that crowd of honestly people addicted to the hyperreality, and maybe they don't even know it, but the surrealism, because that's part of hyperreality, taking the signs and symbols as reality that isn't real, that is surreal. And there's this surreal violence that goes beneath the surface. That's what you're seeing with people making Halloween costumes out of Charlie Kirk. That's what you're seeing. There's this disconnection from reality where violence actually isn't real. It doesn't occur. The reality of it, the consequence of it, these things, it doesn't occur to you because it's this sort of dreamlike surrealism, absurdity that you live your life online, and you can say all these violent things, and you can read these violent things, and you can feel this violence in your heart, but it's all sort of in the realm of signs and sigils. It's not really that. And so you see an easier time for Gen Z to be committing certain kinds of violence because it's, for instance, with Luigi Mangione, he killed the guy. He didn't even have the guy's insurance. He had no connection to the CEO that he killed, no connection whatsoever. But it was this symbolic assassination. The CEO was the symbol of a bigger problem, and Luigi Mangione became a symbol of fighting the rich. And all these things are just operating as symbols, and you can be inspired by symbols without really understanding the reality of the situation. And so we have more and more heinous violence being perpetrated by young people because they're sort of trapped in this unreal, dreamy, digital, AI fueled hyperreality that they eventually come face to face with real reality after they pull the trigger and realize, oh my gosh, what comes next? And then, they have a fun time at court or whatever.
Right. Well, it all seems to be part of, well, I'm going to say programming in a very loose way, but I'm looking at the history of, and I have, Age of Deceit 2, Age of Deceit 3, I documented some of the history of like alchemy, for example. Yeah. And, a lot of what they've wanted to do is create life out of non-life. In the ancient medieval times, they were using all kinds of weird, because they didn't have the modern stuff, right? So they were like putting blood in a
clay jar. Or something.
With like different substances, like, male things and stuff, and trying to create life. And one of the things they did was they got this, the famous golem that a lot of the alchemists, the Kabbalistic alchemists, they tried to create this golem, and they got this clay figure, this body. They like formed a body looking thing out of clay, and they marked it with these sigils to try to bring life to it, right? So symbols in that way, in that sort of esoteric way, have always been very powerful. You think about language itself. Language itself is a symbolic thing. And then, as we get into the Enlightenment period, you had more of this like rationalistic mysticism underneath the surface of empiricism. And a lot of that suggested that, hey, the soul and all this are just mechanisms of the mind. And then, of course, in the 20th century, you have Robert Weiner, who basically, or was it Nord or Robert? I think it was Robert. Weiner, basically the guy who created, the guy who, the forefather of cybernetics, or the father, I forget the name of the title. The father of cybernetics, I think, who said information is spirit, basically, was his argument. And then you kind of look at where AI is now, and this whole idea from these tarot cards, it's this idea that AI is like a collective divine mind that contains all the information of humanity in one place. So it's this like wise old thing, which harkens back to Teilhard de Chardin, his idea of a noosphere, this like mind sphere. And Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit from, I don't know, the 1900s, like late 1900s or mid 1900s. And he had this idea that we are all going to plug into this noosphere. And then you think about the Akashic records, right? I know you're familiar with that, Basil, but it's this notion that there is a ethereal field out there in the sky where all the information and knowledge that could be held is held in this Akashic records. And, there's got to be a way to tap into it somehow. People have been trying to figure out, how do we tap into the Akashic records? Well, it happens to be, I don't know, OpenAI is how you do it, apparently.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who think that, yeah.
But it's this notion that because so much of the symbolic coding has shaped our world, that of course the young people are going to be fighting back, in their minds especially, with code, or not like literal coding necessarily, although maybe in some cases, but in more of like a symbolic way. It's the only way they know how to fight back. They haven't been given anything to really push back economically, not really, right? They can't necessarily do it by organizing enough of a revolution from one group, because we're living in this communication network, internet world where everybody can communicate with everybody in a sense. It's hard to have a very concentrated type of event where you can get a bunch of people to come together for some kind of cause in a location. And traditionally, or not traditionally, but historically, a lot of these important events in history that we've been passed down, all the knowledge of it has been passed down because of historians writing about these events. But you think about it, these were very isolated events. Like, the rest of the world had no idea it was going on, but it shaped history, right? It shapes how we look back and understand history. So in that sense, yeah, of course the young people are going to be lost. There's no grounding, especially if you don't have the scriptures as sort of your foundation. You're going to get lost in whatever the culture is giving you as the tools to fight back against the system that is giving them the tools. So it's a losing battle if you really think about it. So yeah, I don't know. All the spiritual war analogies and comparisons are becoming not just appropriate. It's like the only way. It's the only way we can really withstand all of this stuff happening and unfolding. So hopefully people find Christ in all this, because
yeah, well, that's the key, is the trick, and that's because again, living in hyperreality is very easily controlled. You control the symbols, you control reality. We've talked about this forever in different words. And that's why, we see definitions being changed. That's why we see, messaging control being the most powerful, whether it's censorship on social media, whether it's, organizations like the ADL or someone registering certain phrases or symbols as hate speech. That is how you mix symbology and hyperreality with the sort of the doom magic that is bureaucracy. That's how you control the world, by controlling people's minds, their reality, their hyperreality. And that's why they don't like a true mature believer in Christ, because there is a consistency there. And yes, there are symbols, but those symbols, if you just want to talk symbolologically for a moment, Christian symbols, whether they be words or real symbols, they have thousands of years of being cemented into a tradition. That's why they hate tradition so much. They want to destroy all tradition. That's why the communists in China, they wanted to destroy the four olds. It's the first way to controlling someone, is by destroying any connection they have to the past, because if you destroy their connection to the past, then you can create the symbols in front of them. That's why they have such a problem with, real, true, mature belief in Christ, is because on a very basic level, there's thousands of years of symbols and words and, even whole verses, the Bible itself, of basically set in stone reality descriptors that are very difficult to reimagine or reprogram. Now, they've tried, and it's worked for some people. There's been various, twists and turns, let's say, in Christian tradition, especially, a recent version of it being like deconstructionism, which primary mode, the deconstructionist movement, you know, the 2016, 2015 kind of era of mainstream American Christianity, the biggest thing we saw was redefining sort of the Christian words, the Christian symbols to mean something a little bit more new, a little bit more friendly, a little bit more applicable to our new social morals and things like that. But that didn't last very long, at least as sort of a mass movement. You know, there's the Christianity is incredibly resilient. Not that it hasn't been fiddled with here or there over the course of history, but because those original symbols, original traditions, we have access to them, it's really hard to maintain some sort of corruption in that. Again, not that it's impossible, but that's why, you know, the main the primary narrative crafters of mainstream society just have to get you away from faith. They have to tear you away from that tradition. And it's similar for other religions as well, but, you know, Christianity being a very special case and a very resilient one. And that's why we're seeing, I think, this very interesting resurgence in faith, also this very dangerous tightrope walk of masses of new people coming to the faith, bringing all sorts of, you know, different backgrounds, ideas, things like that. And that's why the sort of really strong traditional expressions of Christianity, whether it's, you know, Catholic or Orthodox or even just solid Protestantism, are sort of thriving and so respected as much as they are right now. Do you want to take a second? Should we thank some executive producers before we jump into the next section? What do you think?
We can, but just real quick, because we're talking about symbols.
Okay.
This is episode 888.
Woo.
And I do want to, I can't do this episode without mentioning the word Jesus in the Greek, Jesus, in the Greek gematria is 888. If you take each Greek letter, it corresponds with a numerical value. And so, yes, people have pointed out over the years how the name Jesus can correspond to number 888.
Hey, there we go.
Which is, you know, 3 infinity symbols sideways. So maybe there's something there, you know, like the.
Yeah, I was told, because I lived at an address that had 888 on it.
Oh, you're a prophet.
Someone told me that it had to do with new beginnings, I think. I kind of forget what the actual breakdown of that was, or even if it was some sort of legit numerological thing. Could have just been hogwash. But anyways, there you go. It's a new day, Gons. It's a new phase of Canary Cry.
Is it?
I hope so.
Is it
I sure hope
than the one
so.
before?
I hope so. You got to do something, man. But we're able to continue, and we're able to be reborn as a podcast and a community because of our producers of the show. Because guess what, folks? We're on the value for value model. Don't you forget it.
Oh, you're doing this now. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, not that. This one.
Or that one. Yeah, that's.
Oh, you're wanting me to do this one?
Value
I don't
for
know.
value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
I thought it was a pretty clear cue there, but that's okay.
I don't know. You've been gone for like
Finding
6
our
months. I
rhythm,
don't know what's.
know. We got to find our path again. But yes, we're on the
When
value
you
for
miss
value.
17 episodes, it's just, you know.
Here's the thing. Value
Mhm.
for value is a system that has been deployed very few times and successfully even fewer times. Okay. Yes, there are other shows, other podcasts, they'll ask for donations or they'll do this or that, but very few will only survive on the voluntary participation of its listeners without also advertising to you or sponsorships. I see when I got back, Gons, I sat down, was doing some admin before the show. We had another someone bringing to us 5 sponsors, 5 brands that would want to sponsor the show. Did you see that?
No, I did not. I didn't
They
see
just
it.
keep coming, folks. They just keep coming, but one more day, just one more day of value for value. That's all we need.
Oh, they're trying to get us to advertise their product on the show.
Yeah, they have 5 brands that would
Do
like.
they not
to
listen to the
sponsor.
show? They
No,
must
they
not
don't.
listen.
They
Yeah.
don't. They just see the numbers. They see
Yeah.
the community, and they go, "Oh, we can make a buck off these guys." But that's not what we do here, folks. We are not in the practice of advertising or sponsorship or platform partnership or any of that sort of thing, because when you boil it down, that just means that we are selling your most valuable resource, which is your time, your attention, your trust, because that's what advertising is. It is the harvesting, the farming of attention to be sold to the highest bidder. And that's just something that did not sit well with us back then, and it still does not sit well with us, especially when you see the world in the supernatural way that we are taught in the Bible. So we do not do that. We take no money from corporations, commies, cartels, governments, the Vatican, nobody. We are entirely produced by you, our dear listeners. And it's a simple idea. We try our best to create as much value as we possibly can, as often as we can. And if what we do brings any value to your life, there is an understanding. Our producers understand that the show can only keep going. The value can only exist tomorrow if our producers, that's you, put value back in. And that value can take many different forms, 3 of which are your time, your talent, your treasure. If you have time to help us out, we're moving into a phase where Gons and I just can't keep up. We can't do all the things we want to do because it just takes more manpower. It takes more people. It takes more participation. Also, your talent, if you're an artist, a musician, whatever, you can create stuff for the show. We love almost the entire collection of sounds and images connected to the show, whether it's the website, the stream, the emails. Every piece of art or music is created by a producer, just like you. So you can do that. That's very valuable. Or if all else fails, you can produce the show with your treasure, because, of course, to exist in this day, even to just keep the podcast available for you to even download, it takes treasure in this mammon worshiping beast system that we live in. So that is also, of course, always welcome and required. And you can produce the show. If you come in for $100 or more, we call those our executive producers. $100 or more for any individual episode. But of course, it's all about finding exactly what that value means to you. You put your own number on it. People like to make fun numbers. Of course, bring it to prayer. And let the Holy Spirit inspire you as to what you're being called to support the show with. It's all up to you. Of course, a big old shout out and thank you to all of our monthly producers, because that is incredibly required, and we're thankful for that.
Oh my gosh, we'd be in the gutter if it wasn't for the monthly supporters.
Right, there would be no show. But it's a combination. It's always a combination of producers with their time, their talent, their treasure, people coming in for individual episodes with special producerships, and those who support the show on a monthly basis. You can go to canarycry.support. You'll see a monthly button there. Pick your own number. It's all up to you. That's just you committing to, hey, we're going to keep making value for another month, and you're going to put value back in. And that's an incredibly valuable thing, especially these days, because it allows us to look 30 days ahead and say, okay, this is what we're working with. We can make it there. So big old shout out to our monthly producers, and especially those who sign up for a couple of programs that we have. One is the Canary Cry T-shirt Council. If you would like to support the show on a monthly basis and get free T-shirts every quarter, of course, you are held responsible for voting on those T-shirts. You can go to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com, or even better, you can go to canarycrysupplydrop.com, where every quarter our producers are putting together an incredible package of Canary Cry gear. We've got some very special things coming up. Of course, the Canary Cry calendar is coming up, but even cooler things, man. Get on over to canarycrysupplydrop.com, and hopefully we'll be able to start kind of teasing what's coming next, because I think you guys will be excited. So there you go. Those are just some options. But we have a few weeks of executive producers to thank, Gons. And depending on time today, we're definitely going to thank all of our executive producers who came in over the past few weeks. If we don't get to the remaining producers, we for sure will thank you on Wednesday. But we just have a little catching up to do. But don't worry, we're going to get there. All right. You ready, Gons, to thank some executive producers?
I think so. I think I remember how this works.
I know. So why don't you hit the executive producer jingle?
Wait, we don't do that anymore, though.
Why not?
Because we haven't done it in a while.
No,
We don't.
It has been a long time. We play the executive producer jingle. We don't play the executive jingle after every executive producer.
Are you sure? I think we stopped playing that.
I know. This is our lives, Gons. We're on a loop, you and I. But we play the long one to introduce the executive producers. But we're not going to play the short one after everybody's name. If you don't have it, if it's not ready.
I think I removed it because we stopped playing it as an introduction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, here we go.
What does chat say? What is chat saying? What are they saying?
They're talking about Crowley and
okay, right. they're not listening. They're somewhere else.
Going on. 88 is a portal. They got stuff going on there. So okay. Anyways, here we go. We're going to thank our executive producer, starting out with what I'm 99% sure is the person. I am applying I'm connecting some dots here. I believe this is executive producer Seeker 1776, who is in the chat.
There you go. Thank you.
That's
Seeker
right.
1776.
Seeker 1776, I hope, I pray, is the one who came in for an Insta knighthood, Gonzo.
Hey, wow.
Coming in for the Insta knighthood. Thank you very much, Seeker 1776. I hope that was you. If not, it was somebody else, and I'll thank them also. Comes in, says, I'm truly grateful for you men. I've been down so many rabbit holes, conspiracy theories, tangled interwebs, and spiritual deceptions to finally arrive at the Canarium. It's a true blessing to have found brothers on the Watchtower. Thank you. Well, thank you very much.
That.
Seeker 1776. That is maybe like the best version of coming to the Canarium story that we hope to hear.
Maybe.
Of course, we're a little on the edge. We're a little weird. It's a little hard for somebody to come to us, off the street. But usually it feels like people find us after a long journey of being led all over the place, on the internet. So
maybe that's our angle moving forward. It's like, if you've been, we want to bring all the people who are sick from all of the rabbit holes.
I think it has to be, Gons. I think it has to be. Look, we've been talking about this all year. Like, we don't actually know what we're supposed to be anymore. It's just a different world. We live in an entirely different world than when we started, right? It's just totally different. And, we're happy about some parts of that. We're a little disappointed in different parts of that, considering how far ahead we've been. You might think we might be in a different place, but it's all good. We're exactly where God wants us to be, and it's possible that we're just we just got to hold on a little longer for all these maybe new or long-standing people going down the rabbit holes to find a home here. Seeker 7076, I was taking some screenshots because the comments were leaving. Also said, donation sent. This was in the chat. I've been listening for a while now, so this support may be a bit overdue. There is great value in your work. Gonza's 887.5 episode was a touchstone for me. He addressed linguistic deceptions that have confused and stymied constructive conversations and understanding for 2,000 years. Thank you for your work. Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the
good
thing too. We get a little heady, a little trippy around here, and it's probably hurt us that we don't just jump on the sort of like alt media, I don't know, bandwagon, that
narrative.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I think what's happening is, because conspiracy topics are becoming mainstreamed, they're becoming politicized, right? And I think people don't like that. They don't like it when everything becomes a political issue. And that's especially with this Christian Zionist thing. I had talking points about it for years. Nobody cared. Tucker Carlson goes on, calls Christian Zionists suffering from a brain virus, conversation explodes. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's all of a sudden an expert on biblical prophecy and Israel and Zionism and all these different topics without defining it. And so people that are actually trying to learn this stuff, they get pushed out of the conversation. They're not, you're either getting called anti-Semitic or not, or, depending on what side you're on. And I think people are tired. They're tired of everything being politicized. And here we have an opportunity to, because we're not catering to the politics of the day, we have an opportunity
nobody's gonna clip every weird thing we say, and it'll get 5
I mean,
million
I was thinking about that. It's like maybe there will come a point in like 2060 where someone's going to curate all of our things and find clips and be like, "Whoa, look at these guys! We need to kill them now because look what he said in 2017 or something." Like that's part of my fear a little bit of like something completely benign becomes like the worst political issue in 2054 or something, and our faces are plastered all over the I don't know, chat news roll or something.
We'll be
TikTok
so
0.3 or
wrinkly.
something.
Our
Yeah.
face so wrinkly in 20.
But we appreciate Seeker 1776. Appreciate you. I
Yeah.
thought of that because he has 1776 in his name. And I know a lot of people who supported Alex Jones over the years as like a truth seeker. As an example, I'm not saying anything negative about Alex Jones. I'm saying maybe people got tired because he got so political. Like, supporting Trump or not supporting Trump, or he's the Antichrist, he's not the Antichrist, Elon's the Antichrist, but I love Elon, he's saving democracy, whatever. Like, whatever the thing is with Alex Jones, people get tired of that, So hopefully we're providing a place where people can have that conversation or explore these topics without that,
Well, it's funny.
paradigm.
Yeah, it's funny because back when we did some surveys a few months ago, try to understand exactly what's going on the categories of topics that we can hit on. Politics, I think, had 0 votes. It was in last. It was certainly in last by far. And we had a couple hundred people take the survey, and politics had 0. Literally not one person wanted us to talk about politics, which a couple months ago is very exhausting. But yeah, it's weird, but it's also hard because politics in a way is connected to everything.
We do have to talk about some things going on, obviously, especially for people that this is their only source of news. We consider that as it's the struggle, right? Weighing in, informing people of what's going on, but also not catering to the narrative crafting that's going on.
Yeah,
incredibly difficult. But
by the way,
your support.
Seeker 1776. I don't know exactly how new you are to the Canary, but coming in for the amount you did, instant knighthood. You get to pick your name and your protectorate. You can go to canarycrynewstalk.com/roundtable. You could see other people's examples of their names. And so you just email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. And let us know what you'd like your knight name to be. We'll give you the whole knighthood treatment next episode, or just after, whenever you send that in. All right, let's keep going here. We've got executive producer Sir Jamie came in thrice over the weeks. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie.
Thank you, Sir Jamie.
Oh, and by the way,
Lannister.
Yes, Sir Jamie, not the Lannister. And for those, just so everybody knows, because Gons wasn't tracking anything, I'm just going to keep everybody's streak going. So if you were on a streak, I don't know, if you didn't come in 5 times while I was gone or something, it's okay. If you came in, I'm going to keep your streak going. We'll keep going. That's a gift to the producers as payment for Guns is not filling out our sheets back here. But that's good, Guns. You did a favor to everybody. Thank you, Sir Jamie, coming in. Sent his tithe every week.
Appreciate you, Sir Jamie.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Next up, we got executive producer Jinja. Yeah, executive producer Jinja came in for a nice round number. Another good thing for new people to understand. If you come in with a nice round number on the 10 or the 5, that's you telling us please don't disclose the amount of my producership. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount of your producership, make it like a funky number, but like 33 cents on there, 77 cents, 1776. Have some fun with the number. That's you telling us you don't mind that we disclose it. And Jinja came in. I'm going to put her on a 2-episode streak. Thank you, Jinja.
All right. Thank you, Jinja.
That's a 2-episode executive streak.
Yeah. All these executive streaks.
Next up, we got Sir Alex Protocol V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol, keeping it going, comes in for $100 and 33 cents.
Baron.
Illuminatus!
That's right. He's on a 435 episode streak and an 89 episode executive producer streak.
Wow.
Last episode was his 88th executive producer streak.
Whoa.
So we should pull up, see if we have an 88 jingle for him.
Flawless victory.
Flawless victory. Thank you very much, Sir Alex Protocol V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol. Big old thank you to Baroness Baroness AIIRL. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Came in a couple times while we were gone. We also have executive producer Felicia D came in.
Felicia D, thank you.
You. We had an anonymous executive producer came in for $344.21. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Anonymous producer. Appreciate that. Got your note. We'll apply that next episode. Okay, there you go. That's our list of executive producers came in over the past few weeks. Really appreciate you guys helping keep us alive here. Means the world, especially in times when, we have these little shakeups. I'm out of town. Something goes wonky. We try our best to just keep the show going. Many shows would just say, hey, we're going to take a little break. Maybe if we were smarter men, we would take a little break, but appreciate you guys supporting the show even through these times.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I'm looking at the regular producers. I don't have any notes from anybody, so it would go pretty quick.
Should we do it now or save it to the end?
There's only about 8 of them. The end. Let's do it real quick now, just so we make sure we have time and we don't run out of time for anybody.
Okay.
So I didn't see any notes. Hopefully I didn't just mess up, but here we go. These are producers who came in under the executive producer amount. We thank them very much. If you come in over $7.77, that does entitle you to have a note read on the show if you'd like. But starting out with the producer Jonathan H comes in for $72.
Thank you very much, Jonathan H. Yeah,
we had producer Julie S come in with her usual. Thank you very much, Julie S.
Julie S, thank you. Good to see you.
Sir Cullen Anderson, Hobo of the Americas, came in a few times, keeping a streak going here for $23.32.
Oh, there's that little Illuminatus.
The sneaky Illuminatus. Yeah, he's on a 40, I think 9 episode streak. What just happened? Yeah, wow. 49.
Okay, one short of Nifty 50.
One short of Nifty 50. Cage Rattler Coffee, of course, supporting every show. Thank you very much. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com, folks, because you got to get it. Value for value coffee. Support the show and get your fix. The fact that Cage Rattler Coffee came in every single show while we were gone means that people have been keeping up on their Cage Rattler Coffee orders, supporting the show and getting the best coffee in the multiverse. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
Seriously, go get it. I stole my dad's espresso machine, and I've been putting that Cage Rattler Coffee in there. Actually, Gons, I don't know, last time you were at the P.O. box, I think you have some coffee in the box here you got to send me. But seriously.
Oh, is that yours?
It's mine. It's for me. I mean, half of it's for me. I think half is for you.
What if I just ate it all?
You do just like them.
I take handfuls of the cage rattler coffee and just eat them in the morning.
An old Japanese secret. You just eat beans, crunch them.
It's how to stay young.
Gobble them down. Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can send some of that if you want. We had, go get it. We got beans from all over the world. It's handled small batch, a Canarian, roasted in very small, effective amounts by a Canarian, packaged, shipped by a Canarian. These are Canary Cry families coming together to make this happen. When you purchase your coffee over at Cage Rattler Coffee, you are not only a portion of every sale comes to support the show, but you're supporting other Canary Cry families. And that is the most important part, folks. So go get it. It's honestly the best. When I was on my trip, I did not bring any Cage Rattler coffee with me. Noticeable difference in my well-being. Next up, we got producer Gregory B comes in. He signed up for the $13.99 monthly producership. That is the price of Disney Plus without ads. And this is our call to everyone to cancel your streaming service from the companies that hate you and everything you believe in, and instead put that value towards Canary Cry, the podcast that you love and loves you back. So thank you very much, Gregory B, for canceling your Disney Plus without ads and supporting the show.
Yep, thank you.
Producer Guy L comes in, supports the show. Nice round number. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Guy.
Producer Bruce W comes in for 1111.
Bruce W, thank you very much. 1111.
And the one and only Raul S comes in for 1777.
Ooh, thank you very much, Raul S.
Thank you. Okay, there you go. 3 weeks of producers there. This not a super long list, but we are still alive. So we appreciate all of our producers coming in with conviction to keep us alive. And if you're listening now, hey, it's episode 888. I'm back. There are reasons to celebrate. It was my birthday while I was gone. So there you go. You can send Basil a late birthday producership if you'd like.
Oh, that's right. It was your birthday while you were gone.
It was. Yeah. Thank you for the happy birthday messages to those who sent them.
Another what? A lap around the firmament.
Oh, Simple Cody mentions Group 7 in the chat. I don't know why, but I see you mention Group 7. Have you seen the Group 7 stuff?
No.
Okay. I'll save it for next show. It's just insane. I'm sure people out there are getting the Group 7 nonsense on their feeds.
I don't know what that is.
I know. It's okay. Don't look into it.
Is it the 6-7 thing, or is it different?
No. It's something totally different. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. That's it. There you go. Thank you, everybody. You can produce the show again at canarycry.support. We literally would not be here if it weren't for the faithfulness of our producers answering the call, following the spirit, and doing something that makes no sense in this transactional beast system, mammon worshipping hellhole that we currently live in. It is foolishness to the world to send producership to a show that is free, that requires nothing from you, that you could just listen and nobody would ever know that you didn't produce. But that is why producing value for value is such a rebellious act, not against the creator of the universe. It's a rebellion against the principalities and the powers of the air, because they want you trapped in a sort of transactional hyperreality where everything that you do or send or spend must be connected to some sort of esoteric transaction. So stay frosty out there, folks, and produce your favorite podcast. All right. Look at all this. Look at all this extra time you have to read stuff and click on things, Gons. Well,
yeah, I know.
Yammer.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I don't have to do both.
Yeah. Okay. Just a couple clips here. This one's interesting. While I was gone, Trump was shooting for the Nobel Peace Prize, of course. He did not get the Nobel Peace Prize. The winner of the Nobel Peace Prize was a Venezuelan activist who then dedicated the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. And then the Nobel Peace Prize winner has come out with some pretty interesting things. Notably, Let's play about 30 seconds of this first clip here, Guns, or maybe
Is this the second one or the
that
first
is
one?
the second one you have there. We will play that one. Let's just play about 30 to 60 seconds of the first link.
Wait a minute. They both. No, I think this is the first one. It's on that big post, right? The
Yeah,
drop
you're
site
right.
post.
That's the wrong one. Let me go like this.
Is it the one from Glenn Deason? Is that the one that's first?
Glenn Deason. No. I see what you're saying. I don't know what happened. The wrong link got in there. I'm going to put the right one in there now. Go like this.
Well, that's on you then.
Go like this. Go like this. Here's the link. Boop, bop, beep. Look at us go. Okay, there's the one. This was tweeted by Dropsite.
This is what I had, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, what the heck? It's this. Oh, I see what's going on here. It's a thumbnail issue. Okay, yeah, it's the one. It's the 4-minute one.
Okay,
yeah.
The US certainly sees it that way at the moment, doesn't it? We've seen this very striking move.
Okay, this comes from Dropsite. Nobel Peace Prize winner and Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado welcomes U.S. airstrikes on Venezuela. The extrajudicial killing of Venezuelans at sea, insisting strikes are, quote, about saving lives. Speaking to Bloomberg's Michal Hussein, who she also claims that Hamas, the Palestinian armed resistance group, is now located in Venezuela. This is the Nobel Peace Prize winner. This is the gal who got the Peace Prize instead of Trump. Machado says the deaths are Maduro's responsibility, not America's, saying the regime was warned not to do. When asked if she supports U.S. strikes on Venezuelan territory, Machado replies, the escalation is the only way to force Maduro to understand it's time to go. So we've talked about Venezuela in a lot of different contexts. Most recently, we've been talking about things like, of course, rare earth minerals and gas and oil and all sorts of things like this. Venezuela, of course, has been a target by CIA for a very long time, many decades has this been going on. And let's listen to a little bit of the Nobel Peace Prize winner talking about Trump in Venezuela.
We will launch a new age. The US certainly sees it that way at the moment, doesn't it? We've seen this very striking move in the last few months, the military build-up in the Caribbean with the world's biggest warship, being on its way there, just the latest demonstration of that. I want to ask you about the strikes the US has carried out on boats in the Caribbean, described as being strikes on drug cartels. What is your position on the deaths that have happened in that way?
Look, Michelle, as I was saying, for years, we were, asking the world to understand the degree of the threat and this devastation the Maduro regime was building in Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela has been turned into the safe haven for the activities of all criminal international networks, from the drug cartels to the Colombian guerrilla, to those groups that smuggle gold and destroy communities of our indigenous people and the ecology, to networks that smuggle arms and even human trafficking and child prostitution. This is horrible, what we're living. Russian agents, Iranian agents freely operating in Venezuela, Hezbollah and Hamas being located in our country. And as any criminal structure works, the moment you start, weakening them and they falling apart is when you cut the sources of the inflows of their criminal activities. And we have asked for years the international community to cut these sources that come from drug trafficking and other criminal activities. Finally, this is happening.
So you think those killings are justified then? That's what I really want to understand. Are they justified? Or are they, as the UN would say, extrajudicial killings?
We can stop right
there. This is about...
So... Did you catch that list of all the bad people in Venezuela?
No.
Oh, just you tuned out.
I tuned out a little bit, but yeah,
out.
no, I
It's
didn't really
literally
catch that.
everybody. It's this gal. It's funny because of course Trump. We're seeing the weird Trump phenomenon where no matter what happens, no matter what sabotage, no matter what indictments, no matter what obstacles come in his way, somehow inexplicably it always ends up going his way. And this I don't know if you covered it or watched it at all. It happened while I was gone, the whole Nobel Peace Prize thing.
Oh yeah,
they just had a blast when he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Mhm.
Then you really didn't hear a whole lot about it after the Nobel Peace Prize winner dedicated the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. And it turns out she's, hey, yeah, come get it. Come bring us some freedom, Trump, because not only are there cartels and gangs and drug smugglers and human traffickers and gold smugglers apparently is a thing and all this, but there's also Russia and China and Iran. They all are sitting here in Venezuela. You need to come invade, liberate us. It's feeling very like Afghanistan 2002, 2003.
Yeah. Running it back.
Running it back. Okay, now let's play that next clip there from Glenn. This is from the same interview, same gal, just a piece clipped out.
We have in Venezuela the largest oil reserves, proven oil reserves in the world, the 8th reservoir of natural gas, huge potential in electricity, gold, critical minerals, and so on. These can only be unleashed with a society, with a government that brings order to this chaos, that open markets, that brings rule of law, that is friendly to international investment. And in a country that is producing less than 1 million barrels a day could reach 4, 5, or 6 in a decade.
Okay.
So there you go. So Trump, come save us. Come get the Russians and the Chinese and the gangs and the this and the that. Get them all out of here. And hey, we got all sorts of great minerals and gas for you. It's gonna be. I mean, this lady is quite the salesperson.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's as if she's saying like, hey, if you're struggling to get some exports from some of these other nations like China or something, you can go down and invade my country to get all the resources.
Yeah, I mean, now we have the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner basically begging Trump to come invade Venezuela, which, of course, he's gonna do, hopefully, for freedom's sake. We need to bring freedom to the people. Now, allegedly, looking into what a lot of people are saying about this gal being a CIA asset, which is actually makes a lot of sense. We've seen that in the past with Nobel Peace Prize winners, of course. We're talking about this sort of global war of narratives, where it is sort of part of regime change, part of global influence, these types of things. Anybody can be an asset at that point. And Nobel Peace Prize winner, activist lady, they get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which is not give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, but then also further the long-standing sort of mission in Venezuela by the U.S. and the CIA specifically. And there's also, this is just a quick headline here from the Postal magazine. Maria Corina Machado is this gal's name. Gilded proxy for imperialism and Zionism. And going down here, the Zionist nexus, one of the most danging yet consistently whitewashed aspects of Maria Corina Machado's political identity is her profound and unwavering alignment with Zionist political forces. This is not a minor footnote or a tangential association. It is the core tenet of her ideological worldview and strategic pillar of her international backing. Her alliance with the State of Israel and its most right-wing elements reveals a profoundly contempt for the principles of anti-colonial struggle and universal human rights that the Nobel Peace Prize is ostensibly meant to champion. And it goes on there. But it seems like perhaps somehow the Venezuelan situation almost feels perhaps transactional to what's going on over in Gaza. I don't know exactly how. I don't have the details yet, but this gal seems to be the first sort of telltale sign that more specific connections might reveal themselves. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Venezuela, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do some boots on the ground, go take a vacation, Gons. We could just turn the whole show into like a vacation show, you know?
Well, I mean, we need some special type of producers to make that happen.
Venezuelan drug lords.
That would be going against our value for value ethos.
That's true.
Accepting cartel money. I don't.
Yeah, it's true. We do say no to cartel.
Someone would need to wash it first.
You know, I actually meant to put this one up a little bit higher, but on the topic of hyperreality, the Zoran Mamdani situation.
Yes.
It just keeps going. It's crazy. Now apparently I don't know. This is a whole thing, but I think that election is either tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. The New York City mayoral election. I believe it's tomorrow. All sorts of craziness already. All sorts of. I think James O'Keefe just came out with a pretty incredible, video.
How does he keep doing it?
About illegal immigrants getting the ability to vote. Sent a guy in there posing as an illegal immigrant and got registered to go vote for Mamdani. The whole thing.
I think Texas just came out and said 100% tariffs on New York.
Yeah.
if they elect this guy.
Yeah.
100%. Now tariffs are happening interstate. Not just international.
I think
so too.
Good.
Yeah, I think over time.
It's supposed to be. I was actually talking to a young fella from Europe while I was out, and he's this wonderful European guy who just loves. He's like, look, I love it where I live. I get free healthcare. The healthcare sucks, but it's good. I love my job, and I have
the UK.
I have no way of making more money, but I'm just kind of like a corporate slave. It's okay. I really would love to go to the United States and just go for it. I feel motivated. I want to go over there. I want to do the thing, but it's so easy over here. I'm just going to do, but he has this incredible love for the American spirit and the sort of Wild West sort of ruthlessness. And what was I just talking about? Oh no. What was I going to say about this guy?
He's probably the interstate tariffs.
Oh yeah. And yes, he was. I said something like, we need to ban the federal government. He goes, yeah, that's how it was supposed to be. All the states need to be their own countries. That was the whole point. I'm like, yeah, dude, you need to come over here. We need you. It was very fun. So even, a certain contingent of American, I'll say this, there's a lot of course, the hyper reality of it is that they want you to believe that everybody in Europe or outside of the country hates America. More of them love America than I expect. I'm always surprised how positive people are about America, even if they don't like Trump or something.
Right?
The mythology,
the culture. Yeah, the culture.
They're super into it. So,
well, that's the one thing that Hollywood was so good at. It was exporting quote unquote culture to the American culture. I'm putting quotes around that because you can kind of dig into some problems with that phrase. But yeah, the idea of exporting American culture and defining culture, that's what Hollywood did so well.
That's our
now
problem.
Look at us.
It's our main export.
Before the military industrial complex gets in there to strip your resources, we're going to feed you all these amazing movies that you're going to love, and then you will accept your fate.
It's worked so far. So back to Mamdani. Okay, so
yes.
right now, as it sits, Mamdani has the highest chance of winning. I think he is at like 94% on the prediction markets. I think he has 37 or 40 something percent. You know, he's in the lead. And that's partially because the other Democrats, Curtis Sliwa and our boy, the man of the hour, Andrew Cuomo,
Hey, Cuomo,
are sort of splitting. Now, Cuomo, goodness, maybe we might need to pull up the Cuomo.
I do it with everyone. I do it with everyone. Black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street. I do kiss people on the forehead. I do kiss people on the cheek. I do kiss people on the hand. I do hug people, men and women.
The man of the hour.
It's good to revisit some of those clips. Do
you have the Cuomo primetime clip? Yeah.
It's Cuomo primetime.
I do it with everyone.
Oh, yeah. Cuomo primetime, baby. So, Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo, the way the analysts are talking about it is if Sliwa dropped out, Andrew Cuomo could beat Mamdani. But we have this, kind of situation where it seems like the powers that be want to give communism a chance in New York.
Give communism a chance.
I mean, the fact that Cuomo is even in this race at all, people forget. Of course, he did horrible things during COVID. He killed a bunch of old people. He did a bunch of horrible things. He was banished from polite society for about a year or two. And then, we tracked it the moment he started coming back to kind of, try to get back in the game, try to return to public life. And we did not. I think I don't remember. I would go back and look at those episodes and try to see what our conclusion was. I have a feeling that I was not very generous to Andrew Cuomo.
Don't confuse Andrew Cuomo with Chris Cuomo either, because Chris Cuomo is okay, good.
Yeah, but yes, with the same thoughts about him too, and he made it back.
I'm wondering if there was an agenda to be like, all right, we got to get Andrew Cuomo back in there, but he did such a bad job, PR. Like, how do we do it? Oh, I know. Let's put him up against a communist.
Exactly.
That'll make it happen. And then, oopsie doodle, we got way too, and like the corruption is way too strong. They love it didn't work out. It's backfiring a little bit.
Pure villain. Pure political villain. I mean, the sex abuse allegations, it is just everything. I mean, why do you think he had to talk about how he kissed everybody? Like, this total American political villain disappears, starts coming back, is now running for the way the numbers shake out is if Curtis Sliwa, who is its own like crazy character, if he dropped out, it looks like Cuomo could easily beat Mamdani. But the Democrat Party is playing this weird game over there looks like it's going to end in Mamdani winning, which makes us think like, yeah, actually, that's probably what the Democrats want in general. They probably want Mamdani because if they didn't, the Democrat Party, they have a tight leash. They would force either Sliwa or Andrew Cuomo to drop out if they really didn't want Mamdani to win. They've done it before. They did it with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. They do it all the time. To think that this is like an accident of the Democrat Party is ridiculous. But then things got even weirder, Gons, when Trump came out with this clip.
But what if Mamdani becomes mayor?
It's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's won, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
No, there it is. There's the framing. This is how we heal America, everybody.
This is how we
bring in the communists, and then the Republicans and Democrats can come together once again. America.
People are calling this an endorsement, an official endorsement. And, the New York Post headline, Trump tells New Yorkers, you must vote for Andrew Cuomo over Zoran Mamdani in New York City election. In any universe, would you ever think that you would get Trump telling New Yorkers you must vote for Cuomo? Which part of me wonders, there's no Democrat who's going to vote for Cuomo because Trump told them to. He's got to just be trying to, trying to get Mamdani elected, which is possible. We've seen Trump pull weird things like this before, where he might actually want Mamdani to get elected so that he can take actions on New York similar to Chicago or Portland.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that if you allow the worst of the worst to get in there, then, people will be begging for Trump to come in and do something about, communism spreading openly in the state of New York.
I guess the alternative is if somehow Cuomo is able to clinch it, then, he might owe Trump, then Trump might own him or something. I don't know. But just a really bizarre twist of Trump endorsing Andrew Cuomo.
He's kind of forced into it, but yeah, it's the whole lesser of two evils argument. And this is why politics is such a sham. Everything is a false dichotomy, false equivalence. There's, I don't know, it's frustrating, but of course, anytime you're talking about a vote, it's forced into one or the other type of situation. I don't know, man. There are some New Yorkers that I'm hearing, they are very unhappy about just in general the options, but they should know that California, at least, it's been, you get a ballot in California. I searched front to back on some California ballots, and not a single Republican in there. A lot of times, it's like Democrat 1 or Democrat 2. So at least you got an American in there versus a communist. And I guess the other guy's an American technically too. But he was quoting like Marx and stuff. Openly, directly quoting Marx. And it's like, hey, at least cite your source when you say that, dude. At least say that you're quoting Marx so that people aren't, people on the internet. I guess maybe he's allowing people to have content.
Yeah,
by pointing out the fact that he's.
I think Marx. Either way, New York is doomed. I think it's broken, and have to be under the impression that it's sort of meant to be that way.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I just have one quick little update because it refers to something that we covered years ago. I don't know
what jingle to play for this.
I don't know either. If there's any old timers here, you're going to remember us talking about this back in 2022. We first touched on the story, episode, I don't know if it was the first, but we last touched the story on episode 520. And it's, I don't know, some sort of chimera, Nephilim.
I have this jingle. I looked up a word on the jingle board and a Jonathan F jingle that's 20 seconds pulled up. I'm going to play it.
American dream possible. We will fight hard for the freedom to vote.
Oh, fart hard. Okay,
fart hard, yeah.
Fart hard, yeah.
ScienceAlert.com. Human trials bring us closer to breathing through our butts.
Oh, good.
We may be a step closer to being able to breathe through our butts. A new human clinical trial has shown that it's safe, at least, to deliver oxygen rectally. Sounds like a joke, and indeed, the research that led to this trial won an LG Nobel Prize for physiology. What's LG Nobel Prize? Is that a typo? Let me see here. IG Nobel Prize? Instagram Nobel Prize? What is an IG Nobel Prize? I don't know.
International something?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Let's see if it comes up.
Let me see. IG. Here it is. I think it might just be the name of the thing. Oh, no. It's a satirical prize.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a satire.
Satirical Nobel Prize for physiology last year, but there's a good reason behind it. If proven effective, it could become a backup, pun not intended, method for providing oxygen to patients with blocked airways. The work is entirely without precedent. Animals like pigs, rodents, turtles, and some fish are known to be capable of chugging oxygen when the need arises.
What?
Back in 2022, we covered this when they were testing this in pigs, which was just this horrific experiment of depriving pigs of oxygen and then giving it to them the other way. The process is called internal ventilation, and researchers envisage that in the case of humans, it would involve delivering a perfluorocarbon liquid containing a very high concentration of oxygen directly into the rectum. What do you got?
The episode we covered it. It was on
520.
August 10th, 2022, episode 520. And let me just look for the article here. You're looking at, is it the very bottom?
Yeah, I looked it up before the show.
You did. Humans can breathe out of buttholes like pigs. Okay,
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
So we're 3 years later, and they've now done the test. Apparently, it takes 3 years to test if humans can breathe out the other end, and they can. Now,
oh, good.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this except for we live in a fallen world, and humans are very creative with the different ways that we want to help each other medically or whatever. But apparently, just wanted to give an update. They have done the tests, and humans can do it. And it's not through air; it's through a liquid. They deliver a liquid, and your intestines actually separate out the oxygen from the liquid and deliver it to your blood. So it doesn't even touch your lungs.
So if you're holding your breath, can you just hold it?
Yes.
Because now you're receiving, your body's receiving oxygen from the other side?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
Thank you, science.
Great.
I mean,
Wasn't it Japanese scientists doing this too? If I recall, this is Japanese science.
It is Japanese science. This is a very Japanese
it's super Japanese.
thing. You know, they're very creative over there. There you go. It's just a quick little update. I don't have much else to say about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate the update. Okay. Let's see. What else did we have? Oh, you know what? Just real quick before we start wrapping it up here. How long have we been? Oh, 2.5 hours. Look at that.
Yeah, good.
I wanted to just touch real quickly on 3i Atlas because the op continues. Basil, the mysterious object, interstellar object. This is coming from futurism.com, published today. The mysterious interstellar object has unexpectedly started brightening, scientists say. It lit up much faster than anticipated, and scientists are stumped. Since it was first spotted in early July, scientists have been fascinated with 3i Atlas, the third object in history to have been spotted cruising through our solar system from interstellar space. The visitor, which is generally suspected to be a comet, has been racing through our star system at a blistering velocity, reaching its closest point to the sun on October 29th. During that close approach, scientists were surprised to note that 3i Atlas brightened much faster than they anticipated. Comets commonly form a tail of gas and dust as they approach the sun, as its radiation causes solid ice to sublimate into gas, causing material to be stripped from their surface that then reflects more light. However, astronomers were caught off guard by how quickly 3i Atlas's luminosity grew in observation by two solar observatories, NASA's Solar Terrestrial Relations Observatory and the European Space Agency's Solar Heliospheric Observatory, as well as the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's GEO-19 weather satellite. And it goes on and on. There's a quote here from the Naval Research Laboratory astrophysicist Carl Batum and Lowell Observatory postdoctoral fellow Qingcheng Zhang. They said, quote, "The reason for 3i's rapid brightening, which far exceeds the brightening rate of most Oort cloud comets at similar radial distance, remains unclear." Aliens, Basil. Aliens are coming. And I'm not going to get too far into it. We've talked about this over the last couple weeks. And I've presented my outlandish thesis about what this might represent, as well as some more, down-to-earth practical ones, which has to do with simply keeping the propaganda and the mystery of the whole conversation about disclosure and aliens, keeping it interesting and tangible. How do you talk about aliens, and how do you talk about exotic materials that may not exist naturally on Earth and all that kind of stuff? Well, you create an astral object that's behaving strangely, and then all the world space agencies stop talking about it. China's not releasing any more information. NASA is in government shutdown, so they're not telling us anything, and it creates this vacuum where a whole bunch of people get to speculate on what might be. I think I said in the last episode, ultimately, I don't think it's going to be anything. That'll just move on to the next thing that's going to maybe be an alien or whatnot. But, on the more fringes, I talked about how it might be the excuse to roll out some new substances or materials that may help accelerate compute. And especially with quantum computers becoming more prevalent, the discussion about quantum computers has accelerated a lot in the last few months. Different businesses stepping up and corporations, a lot of investment articles on which quantum computer company should you invest in and stuff like that. So as that becomes a thing, I would imagine more resources would be necessary. And on top of all the resources that currently exist, the resource war, the war on commodities and things that will help build the infrastructure for this new technology, it'd be really helpful if there was a mysterious interstellar object that happens to be really useful in quantum computing. And so, that kind of narrative might play out as well. And then, of course, the crazier one that ties into the divisions happening now with the conversation about Israel and the Jewish people and rabbis and Judaism, and how it is related to the conversation or theory, or I guess narrative presented by a rabbi about 12, 13 years ago that was documented on the Face Like the Sun channel as well as elsewhere, of a rabbi, I think his name was Michael Lightman, who said that the modern Jews are the chosen people, the aliens or, these entities from another galaxy chose the Jews to be the messengers of light. And so they are the ones bringing forth light in this world, and then everybody else will follow eventually. And, that kind of narrative would, when we first started doing all this, the podcast and Age of Deceit, especially when I was putting the research together, one of the topics of conversation that was happening amidst us crazy people that found each other on the internet was how the announcement or disclosure of some kind of alien or extraterrestrial entity would affect the biblical narrative, or not even the narrative, just all religions, right? People would have to maybe reconsider belief in God or reconsider who Jesus was and all this kind of stuff. And ultimately, the aliens don't even have to show up for that to happen. That narrative already was, not only has it been there for generations, but with shows like Ancient Aliens or the Zeitgeist movies, they tried to sort of minimize Jesus and who he was, and that's been sort of the consistent theme with all this. But I found this clip from Bob Lazar, very famous for being somewhat of a whistleblower for some UFO research the government was doing, and it appears, I think they verified that he did have some high-level access to some of the locations, at least, that were allegedly housing some of this exotic technology. And there's a clip here. It's 2.5 minutes long. Actually, I'll start it a few seconds in, where he talks about some alleged classified documents that he saw. I don't like the way the interviewer is leading him a little bit, but this is an old clip. I think it's from like the 80s or something. So it's an old, or maybe 90s, older clip, but here's a little bit of what he said many, many years ago.
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lie. I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. Okay. All right. All right, I'll say it. It's so far out. All right, your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of?
Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
The souls? Meaning?
Well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. Right? That's
meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point.
Right.
And that they had something to do with different prophets and biblical figures.
Yes.
What?
Well, that supposedly Jesus and two other beings were genetically engineered. They were implanted in people on Earth in biblical times, and their births were closely monitored. Now, just some little connections to that my wife had brought up were in the Bible. They said that the star had followed Mary wherever she went, and that all UFO sightings always start out as people, well, gee, that looks like a bright star, and well, in fact, they said in the Bible, the brightest star in the sky followed her where she went, and just make little connections like that.
Okay.
I don't know what else to touch on about.
So there you go. The groundwork for some of this has been laid for a long time. But does it surprise anybody that there's some classified documents that talk about how the human body is a container of a soul, and that Jesus was a genetically engineered entity that was closely monitored from birth by aliens? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. That's like my ultimate please don't let it happen thing, which is the whole Zionist conversation turning into, well, the Jews are aliens, like the good guys here to spread light. And Mike, can you imagine that we can't even have a conversation right now about political Zionism versus biblical Zionism? What's going to happen when the alien wrench gets thrown into this conversation? It's just, man, it's crazy. But I don't know. Any thoughts, Basil?
Wasn't there a rabbi who basically said exactly what you're talking about?
That's what I was mentioning before.
Okay.
Yeah, Rabbi Michael Lightman, who came out and said that, yeah, the Jews are the messengers of light from another solar system, and that they're here to spread the message of light and lead everybody into some kind of apotheosis or ascension type of process.
Have you ever heard like a Jewish response to that? Because
no, it's from the rabbis. So there are
Jews
who reject that.
Yeah, rabbis are always disagreeing with each other, but
yeah.
I don't, from the Jews that I know, which I don't know a whole lot of like really religious Jews, but from the conversations I've had with them previously, it seems like they'd actually not necessarily be totally closed off to that. Like that would be, I don't know, just like one version that wouldn't be totally outside the realm of, like, it wouldn't even be, I don't know, apostasy or heresy or something.
No,
but I don't want to speak
would
for
fit
them.
their
I'm sure
narrative.
somebody has a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, in the clips from Michael Lightman, there are Jews like in the room saying like, "What? What are you talking? What are you saying?" So it's not and that's part of the issue here, right? Is people tend to use titles like Jews and say all Jews, but it's a very difficult. It's not like that, not just at a literal level, but even genetically. If you're talking about lineage and bloodlines and all that kind of stuff, it's very complicated.
Yeah,
which I think is why the New Testament says what it says about who biblically Israel is, and sometimes Paul will use Israel in the sort of ethnic context, and then also in the context of God's chosen people or the church. And the problem now is that people are saying, the Christian Zionists are saying, that people that are critical of Christian Zionism are just repeating the heresy of replacement theology. And clearly that is not what's taking place. I haven't seen anybody say the church has replaced Israel. I've seen some people point out the nuance about, hey, the church was always Israel, or the other way, Israel was always the church, because just logically, God chose Abraham, he chose Jacob, named him, renamed him Israel, the whole thing. But there were people that are genetically the same lineage as Jacob in that region that were not called Jews or part of Israel. And they existed, and they still, lineage-wise, they're still around. So, are they not? So it gets confusing because it's not just a genetic conversation. It is a ritualistic conversation, religious conversation. And this is what I talked about last episode, Basil, how the inability for people to identify or speak about theology, eschatology, sociology, politics, geopolitics, philosophy, genetics, science, like all the things encompassing this topic, people just can't do it. Because I even pointed out on certain people's posts where they would say, like, whatever, it's very clear in the Bible. It says Israel is Israel, and therefore we must support the existence of Israel. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're using Israel in the Old Testament context in the first time you use it, and then in the contemporary modern geopolitical sense the second time you use it. Of course, it's going to be confusing for people, but then you point that out and they don't like that. They're like, no, it's what the Bible says, and I only support people that support the Bible literally. And that's got its own problems. I can't sleep, Basil. This thing has been bothering me so much. I cannot sleep.
You're very passionate about it.
And it's not because I'm trying to be like, I'm so right and it's not that. It's just simply that I am seeing everybody talk past one another. There's nobody defining terms, and there's no fruitful discussions. And people are doubling down on both sides without any extension of acknowledgement when it comes to this stuff, because I don't think Christian Zionists are heretical in the sense that their salvation is at risk because they support the modern nation state Israel, or they, support Jews or something. Like, where are people getting that from? It's absolutely insane. And then on the other side, Christian, people that are criticizing Christian Zionists, I don't think that they are in the right either, name calling or whatever. So it's just terribly frustrating. And I wish there was more nuance over narrative, Basil. I should put a t-shirt. I get a t-shirt. Nuance over narrative.
Let Gons be a sermon illustration to why in these days, perhaps more even than any other days, it is important to stay grounded and focused on your direct relationship and experience with Christ. Because the hyperreality narrative magicians are very clever and will find any way. Not only that, but the robots themselves, they know you better than you know yourself. They know exactly how to keep you up at night. So what is a good opportunity, Gons, for other people to learn from this is a very good illustration you're giving them.
Yeah.
Because like we've been saying all year, don't know if there's much to do except for stay grounded and focused on the most important thing that we have or could have, which is our relationship with Jesus Christ. And not going to say it's going to fix everything, but at least you won't have to think about all this stuff that Gons is thinking about. Getting irritated at other people not being able to communicate. And let me say, I second the feeling. I have that feeling all the time.
Yeah,
just like, folks, everybody just take 1 second.
Yeah, take a second. Yeah.
But we can't. The truth is we cannot take a second because that's not
the Jews didn't kill Jesus. It was the Romans.
It's not
profitable. Like, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, the Sanhedrin was a thing, but let's forget that. It's just...
So we have I see we had some people who sent in some art while I was gone. Do we want to thank some art producers before we wind down here?
Yeah, there's a couple things. You know what? I was not able to turn this sideways. Hold on 1 second. Give me one moment. I have to turn. Sometimes the art comes in and it comes in sideways, like images and stuff. So I have to rotate it before I share it. And here
Okay.
we go. I think I did it.
The magic of technology.
I know, the sorcery. Here we go. This one is coming from, by the way, thank you for all the artists helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. You can go to canarycry.art to submit your artwork. This one is from...
If you want to make anything for the show, you got to go to canarycry.art and you can upload it there. That'll put it on a nice, clean little spreadsheet for us. Otherwise, it will get lost and we will never see it again.
Yep. This piece of art, am I showing it already? Aha, here we go. It comes from Mama Cinta. And Mama Cinta had a note. Hey, y'all, I'm so far behind on episodes, but listened to 8A3 and despite being artfully challenged, thought this and drew it at work. Keep up the great work and have a great day. What did we talk about in 883? I forget.
I wasn't here. So
you weren't here?
One, I wasn't here for 883. 882 was my last episode. So
wow.
I
Okay,
actually didn't even have the context for this art.
Let me see, what I talked about in 883. Are you sure 883?
Well, this is about Candace. This is about Candace and her dream. So
I thought you were here for that.
No, 882 was my last episode.
But didn't you do? Oh, okay. Maybe. Are you sure?
Yeah, because you know how I know? Because the producership document was only updated to 882. If I was here for 883, it would be updated to 883.
Because I'm seeing a producer list on episode 883. That's why I'm wondering.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we talk about?
You want me to
space
describe this? I'll describe.
Describe the art. I'm looking for the story that okay. It's Candace Owens' dream. Okay, there it is.
You knew what it was. Yeah. Okay. So we've got a wonderful pencil sketch here, and it looks like there's someone sleeping in a bed, a young lady sleeping in a bed, and surrounding the bed are 3 angels with hoods and wings. The first one says, "Did you see Candace's friend will be pregnant soon?" The other one says, "Yes. Did you see also she's going to have a boy?" Then the third one says, "Hey, keep it down. Just wait until she wakes up before talking about it." For CCNT number 883. So I have no idea what this story was. You're going to need to explain it to me.
Yeah. I think it was Candace Owens talking about how she had a dream where Charlie Kirk came to her and told her that he was betrayed. And her proof that this, sort of dream messaging is legit is that there was a friend that she had a dream that a friend was going to get pregnant. And then she told the friend, like, hey, you're going to be pregnant. And then like a couple days later, they found out they were pregnant. So that was the proof that Candace Owens' dreams, she's plugged right into, I don't know.
I mean, she's in a tough spot because if she did have the dream, and look, I mean, if anybody's put themselves in a situation where they can expect to be betrayed by someone close to them, it's Candace Owens nowadays.
Yeah.
But if she did have the dream and did learn of her friend's pregnancy in the dream, that's a hard thing for an extremely popular online person to come out and start talking about without immediately getting bludgeoned with, crazy lady accusations.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think I went more into the dream engineering aspect of this, and that, they've had the voice to skull for decades. They've had, there were articles about how they want to advertise in our dreams a couple years ago, and we've been covering this dream aspect for a while. So anytime a popular influencer speaks about dreams, especially in this context of political messaging, I wonder. I just wonder, like, what is going on?
Well, very clever, very fun art there. Yes.
Yeah.
She overheard the angels talking while, they were around.
Right. Exactly.
You got to be careful if you're an angel talking out loud around sleeping people. They'll tune in.
Yep. Let's see. Thank you for that, by the way, for the art. We got more. That's Mama Cinta, by the way. Thank you very much. We got the Jonathan F. stuff, the Abraham stock, which I played earlier. Let me see if I'll play it again here. I didn't realize it before when I was reading this, but yeah, Abraham's stock. Yeah, those guys over there, they're good stock. Oh gosh, somebody's gonna clip this, and I'm gonna get kicked.
From the Tower of Sorrow to the alien atlas.
That goes into the next one there, but yeah,
I'm not sure what Abraham stock is. Were you reading an article or something?
I think I was reading either an article or a post from somebody that was trying to. I think they were trying to defend Christian Zionism, and we were talking about Abraham's seed and all this kind of stuff, and I think he said Abraham's stock.
Yeah.
As if we're cattle, like as if the Jews were cattle or something. And I was
Nice
pointing out how ridiculous
phrase.
if you're like, if you're in the pro-Christian Zionist camp, it's just ironic that you would make that kind of reference. But I guess I didn't realize the old-timey reference there. It's an old-timey thing to call people.
That boy, if it's like a handsome young man or something.
Like
he comes from good stock.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Racist.
Not that anybody said that about me or anything, but just saying I've heard it before.
There was another one from Jonathan F. And this one, let's see. Hold on. Let me see. We got the.
Is it the song?
We're going to play the song, but I thought there was maybe another one. Oh, maybe this one is from Little Owen. Okay, so yeah. Yes. We had the one that we played earlier of the 888 song that we will play at the end. And then we had the Little Owen. With patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the spirit. I love it. That's from Little Owen. We'll play the whole thing at the end of the show. He said, "One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all. Unity in the body of Christ. What a powerful and supernatural thing that is, that only God can do." This is Ephesians 4 verses 1 through 6 in Scripture, in the Scripture song. So he's just taking Scripture, turning it into song, as he always does. Great job, Little Owen. Appreciate it. And
thank you very much,
Little Owen. At the end. I think that's it. That's
okay.
All of it. Did I miss something?
Nope. That's what I see. Great.
All right.
Thank you very much to all of our very talented producers. And again, out there, if you're a musician or an artist or even none of those things, but just want to participate in creating the culture here at Canary Cry, go to canarycry.art and you can upload it there. Any kind of file you can upload.
Gabrielle in the chat reminded me. Yeah, I was quoting the Pope. That's right. The Pope was making a statement about this whole situation, or at least part of the situation, and he talked about Abraham stock.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Got it.
Pope Leo.
I was poking around earlier because I was trying to see if Pope Leo had said anything about Three-Eye Atlas, but nothing from the Vatican since July. In July, the Vatican Observatory started talking about the thing, but that was a long time ago, perhaps even before Yuval Noah Harari said it was going to be aliens. Yuval Noah Harari said that it was supposed to be here by October 29th. He said, take your vacations before October 29th, which I'm not going to lie, had a moment of hesitation because that was the day before I was supposed to come home.
This is all a simulation now, folks. This isn't real anymore. Here it is. I found the quote from the Pope. A, quote, bond spiritually ties the people of the new covenant to Abraham's stock.
Yeah.
Thus the Church of Christ acknowledges.
Theologically sound to me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything else, Gonzo?
I don't think so. I think that's it. Episode 888 in the books. Wow, we're 12 episodes or 11 episodes away from 900, Basil.
900.
We're quickly approaching. Are we going to hit 1,000 next year? I think we are.
Yeah,
that's
we'll hit 1,000. Yeah, pretty quick, actually.
Wow, that's
before insane. You know it, we'll be there, folks. So I don't know. We'll need to do some sort of something.
Sort of something.
A video just popped up on my timeline of a guy building a 1-to-1 true to scale Ford F-150 out of all wood, and it's incredible. All right, I think that's it. I got to watch this video of this guy building this F-150 out of wood. This is going to be the rest of my afternoon.
Okay.
So thanks everybody for making the show happen, supporting the show, producing the show. Of course, we got some producers who come in, they make the show happen with their time. I want to thank, what are you going to do? Should we thank the timestampers? Let's do that.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yeah, Morgan E. did last episode. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Jade Bouncerson did the one before that. Morgan E. did the one before that. Yeah, it's Morgan E. and Jade Bouncerson.
Oh, have you not thanked
doing the work
since?
Not really. I mean, I think the last couple episodes I had to run out, so I don't think I had time to really thank people at the end.
Okay.
But yeah,
it's a Raptor. It's a Ford F-150 Raptor, and he's now spray staining the wood. It looks like it's made of mahogany.
Why did he pick a Ford 150, not like a
Well, it's a Raptor. The Raptor is like
Raptor, okay.
That's the real deal. That's the cool one.
All right.
Okay, thank you to Jam, who's the leader of the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for adminning the Discord channel, as well as the other mods over there. If you're a Telegram person or a Discord person, we got those links over at canarycry.party. You can click on those invite links there. Thank you to Joe for all the feedback. I went ahead and listened to all Joe's recordings from when I was gone, so I will update you on how you did, Guns. Thank you to Clank for everything you're doing, Clank. Oh, Clank sent us an update, I think, recently. I got to go look at that. And thank you to everybody who makes this show possible. Of course, Sir Ike as well for everything you do.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Let's see here. We're going to be back. Yeah, okay. Other than that, share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it along with anybody who would like a video of a guy making a Ford F-150 Raptor out of mahogany, because if they like that, they're going to like this show. And apparently, this is the place to be if you know anybody who's been down the rabbit hole for years and just needs a little bit of sanity, a little bit of truth, break out of that hyper reality, folks. That's what we're trying to do here. And if all else fails, we call it rattling cages. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
It's got working lights and working windshield wipers. I mean, come on. What's going on? It looks like you might pedal it. It might be a pedal. Guns, you got any last words?
We will see you on Wednesday, Masonic Beaver Moon Day, Guy Fawkes Day in the UK. Remember the 5th of November. And it'll be remembering 24 years after the murder of William Cooper, author of Behold a Pale Horse. That's coming up Wednesday.
So many things. Big day on Wednesday, folks. I recommend you come spend it with us. And if you're new, thanks for being here. Make sure to tune in again. This has been Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
We're all gonna die.
On the way.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
From the Tower of Sorrow to the alien Atlas skies. Flippy flippin' burgers while the robots normalize. Commie super soldiers marching through the feed. But Basil and Gonzo break it down with that Canary creed. Nephilim in headlines, deep fakes in disguise. Mainstream madness, we see through the lies. It's 888, the great decode. From Giza Gaza Trump to the meltdown mode. Raise your mics and take your notes. Truth in the airwaves the mainstream won't quote. We cry out, we won't be phased. Canary cry forever praised. Episode 888. Invisible asteroids sneak in through the night. Global governance algorithms in the satellite light. AI prophets preach the metaverse plan. But we're rooted in the word, not the works of man. News so crazy you can't make it up. Sip that mockingbird tea from your canary cup. It's 888, truth resonates. Through supply drops and round table fades. From MK Ultra to Jesuits fade. We're still laughing through the clickbait hate. Tune your dial and celebrate. Welcome to episode 888. From flat earth memes to UFO dreams. From Burning Man fire to transhuman schemes. We've heard it all and we'll hear some more. But we stand on truth, that's what we're here for. What's up with that? You know the drill. Flippy and the gang keep the faith still.
Canary crime news talk, man, what's going on? Gotta turn it on, shows coming on live. VPN on when I'm going online. Anonymity, man, cryptocurrency. We got everything you need, get it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ the King, let the Holy Spirit speak. Battle in the cage, gotta set the captive free. Value for value, to me it's not free. Wish I had a longer streak, but this creativity, go fulfill the 3 T's. That's time, treasure, talent. Give it right back, put it right back in balance. Not right or left, we not with the distractions. Catastrophes are the classic techniques. All attacks of the enemy, getting defeated. Underneath the feet of Jesus, just believe us. Media is trying to deceive ya. Gotta read between the lines till you see through the disguise. It's a slit reptilian eye sitting on top the pyramid. Got a myriad of topics, might be on a watch list. R.I.P. face like the sun, but you cannot stop this. Like the Lord's gonna come stop this beast system and this infinite wisdom. Yeah, when the time is right, yeah, we're gonna take flight like a thief in the night. So I gotta get it right. I gotta repent and sit patient. Waiting for supply drop, Google eyes don't blink. Man, I need some eye drops. Google mind deep thinking for the AI thoughts. Yeah, Basil, Gons, Basil, Gons, Basil, Gons. You know what's going on. Basil, Gons. Canary crowd news talk, man, what's going on. Basil, Gons. And you know what's going on. Basil, Gons. spazzing. Canary cry news talk, man, what's going on?
They're going to probably try and rattle her cage a little bit more.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry, not surprised.